I know.
What up, everybody?
My control take me out of Froggy, so do not need that. Anyway.
Oh my god. So many updates today.
Probably.
Jesus, stop. Friggin' coworkers and their Snapchat. What? With the what? With the what?
I was trying to figure out which way that way was.
Mmm.
That way's north. I know that much. So, west.
That is true.
Yeah.
For some reason, at the beginning of the stream, it always takes a little bit for the chat widget to catch up on my end, so I apologize in advance. Mm-hmm.
Summer's ending, and savings are back in business with Dell's Labor Day sale. Small businesses can save up to 40% on select business computers with Intel Core processors, plus free shipping on everything, including a wide selection of thousands of top-brand electronics. Give our specially trained small business technology advisors a call. They can help you find just the right to fit your business with Labor Day savings. Visit Dell.com/business deals or call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
My Dell.
Yup.
I bought Dell.
The copperhead snake.
I like Dell. Dell usually doesn't
It
do
hisses before attacking. But that's not a copperhead. That's
They
the
do.
Sullivan's RV fresh.
That customer service is trash.
Their black one, which is better.
Computers are halfway decent.
Making
Frontside bus speed. That's all I gotta say. Although, when they bought Alien Gear, I was worried that they were going to ruin it, and they didn't ruin it. So I will give them props on that.
Today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
But I give them nothing else.
Just like a program.
They're talking about Nancy Pelosi's plan for a government takeover.
You're probably too young to even remember Gateway computers. Remember Gateway?
That's right.
Gateway was everywhere. Remember Gateway? Came in the stupid cow packaging.
Starts with seniors losing choice and access to the most effective drugs in Medicare. Their plan means prescription drug rationing, government price fixing, and bureaucrats controlling your access to new treatments. The result?
Mark Stein personally? No, I've not met Mark Stein personally. I know people who have worked with him, but I've not met him personally, no.
Begins by targeting your prescription drug benefits and must be stopped before it's too late. Protect Medicare for America's seniors. Urge Congresswoman Jackie Walorski to oppose the liberal socialist plan for your prescription drug benefits. Paid for by
That's right, Stymie. Rainforests.
From the final phase Electric Studios. From the first step to the final phase. When commercial electrical done right.
Yup, Gateway 2. I think I had a 2000 also.
On Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Back in the day.
breaking news and weather station.
All right. So I can't like get into my freaking YouTube dashboard. I can actually go to the live video, but live dashboard doesn't work at all anymore.
Most will stay dry through the rest of today. Temperatures do drop down to 56 underneath those clear skies for tonight, and then for Wednesday, plenty of sunshine with a daytime high of 74 degrees. Now, it will be a little bit windy, so not the best beach days. High wave actions are expected along the Lake Michigan shore.
Everything
For Thursday,
is
we'll be
mess.
78 degrees with mostly sunny to partly sunny skies. As another weak cold front moves through for Thursday night, we'll have a chance for a few showers. We'll dry up for Friday, but temperatures will be left much cooler, with only a high of 73 degrees.
Is there no sound?
In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm
Can you guys hear me now?
This is Casey Hendrickson. Our next Pass the Mic event is set for 12 noon.
Can you hear me now?
August 30th at Monterey, Mexico.
You should be able to.
As always,
weather. Call Home Comfort Expert. But don't worry, you can repair, replace, or get an $89 tune-up. Call Home Comfort Experts, 255-4600.
Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Sorry, somebody messed with the headphone jack.
This is Casey Weed, president of Howard Bailey Financial, where our sole focus...
I tried reloading everything and it wasn't working, so it's the headphone jack. Somebody messed with it. Somebody turned it all the way off for some reason. I don't know why. There's no reason to ever do that. It's kind of a stupid amateur thing to do. So I don't know why they did it, but they did.
And we are willing to put in the time and effort to ensure you receive a plan that's tailored just for you. Give us a call today for a free consultation to discuss how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like inflation, healthcare emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. Let's get to work right now to get you on the road to financial confidence. 866-482-9555.
Yeah, I don't know why they would ever do that. So, sorry. Not my fault, their fault. Makes no sense. They suck.
Just visit retirewithpurpose.com.
Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
When you use every day, month after month, year after year, you have fallen so far that see the light of day. You give up all hope. I think the only way that people really make it out of that deep pit is somebody sticks a ladder up and finds something with it.
Well, I got 3 thumbs downs because of that.
I think I really admired most about Goodwill because they reintegrated you back into the workforce slowly. The idea is with people with barriers to employment, is to break down those barriers, get them used to coming to work, get them used to punching in on time, send them out in the open job market, let them fly. It gave me structure.
Well, that could be.
It gave me a platform for me to change. It amazes me that it was. And I'm amazed with the happiness and joy that I feel in my heart every day.
So a TV anchor who was doing a report on the Oklahoma City Zoo has had to issue an apology on air after saying that one of the gorillas looks kind of like her co-anchor, who happens to be a black guy. Folks, you can't do that stuff. I
Hey, there's Mark McGill with a list of the best and worst starting jobs. I'll tell you what they are Wednesday morning start at 5. The Shameless Morning News on News Talk 95.3 MC.
All right, I'll issue an apology on behalf of a coworker, not Joe, somebody in the morning, who he messed my audio up for the station feed. So if you're trying to watch the live stream in the last segment and you didn't hear anything on YouTube or Twitch, I apologize. That is entirely the fault of somebody from earlier in the day who did something really weird with the system that normally is not done. So again, I apologize. It's fixed. Everything is functional. If you go to youtube.com/Casey the Host or twitch.tv/Casey the Host, the live stream is fully functional. Okay, we're talking about the Amazon rainforest because, well, frankly, a bunch of people are running around and they're saying some things that just aren't true. And we've got a bunch of celebrities. We've got the president of France running out there and actually, tweeting out fake photos of the fire that aren't true. And it's a mess. Okay, so let me just kind of tell you what's actually happening with the Amazon. Now, there is fire. Okay, there is fire. That is happening. It's just that what people are saying about it is untrue. So here we go. The latest climate change disaster du jour was the lead story in many news feeds and headlines around the globe. The report that the Amazon was burning at unprecedented rates due to man-made global warming is tailor-made for the climate catastrophe crowd to promote fear of impending planet-wide doom. The reliably alarmist CNN headline was Amazon rainforest burning at record rate. Remember, Leonardo DiCaprio kept saying this record rate crap too. While over at the New York Daily News, the writer declared the Amazon rainforest is burning, be afraid. Most reporting included some variation on the theme that the lungs of the world are burning. Again, that's the talking point that everybody is using. In a tweet, French President Emmanuel Macron called upon world leaders to place the fires in the Amazon at the top of the agenda when they meet for the Group of Seven summit, the G7 summit. A source of this alarm is ostensibly reliable source, Brazil's National Institute for Space Research, which again, Leonardo DiCaprio and other celebrities cited. However, a closer look reveals some real problems with the data. First, ladies and gentlemen, the satellite fire data referenced only began in 2013. So I just want to make this crystal clear. This is a problem that we have with global atmospheric temperatures too. With the global warming alarms, they run around and they go and they tell you that, oh no, the temperatures are hotter now than they've ever been. You have 30 years of data, dude. And even in that 30 years of data, you're still wrong. So anyway, this data only began being collected in 2013. So 6 years of data is hardly long enough to make statements about record breaking in any context. Secondly, the satellite data collected wasn't intended to be used as a counting tool for the number of fires, but rather as a readiness alert system to identify fires before they rage out of control. It turns out that the same fire might be counted more than once to ensure that none are missed, which is common in fires, actually. Likely, the most shared image of the devastation was a NASA satellite image across most of the Amazon showing smoke from fires in many areas. What was not shared was the caption that NASA provided, which states, in part, as of August 16th, 2019, an analysis of NASA's satellite data indicated that total fire activity across the Amazon basin this year has been close to the average in comparison to the past 15 years. Wow, that sounds dramatically different than there's been an increase of 84% of Amazon fires and the lungs of the world are now burning. Might as well light a cigarette and, vape whatever vape juice you want to do all at the same time because we're all going to die anyway. So it turns out that, okay, real quick. We see this not only in other global warming nonsense where they tell you that the temperatures are hotter than they are when in fact they're not and they're average. We see this a lot with mass shootings. Mass shootings are increasing. The numbers of mass shootings have gone up by 200%. No, they haven't. They've actually remained the same for decades now, which is an average of 22 per year. Now you've got this. Okay, so it's the same sort of fear mongering. It's the same template. It's the same playbook. It's the same strategy that they use
in everything else that they want to scare you about. So according to NASA's Global Fire Emissions Database, activity is above average in the states of the Amazonas and Rondônia, but so far is below average in Mato Grosso and Para. I don't know if I got any of that right. I don't speak Portuguese. The overall numbers are pretty much in line with historic data that goes back to 2003. Again, not a large sample, but at least it's 10 extra years beyond the Brazilian system that the celebrities are using. Much longer than the Brazilian data, with the satellite data analysis specifically designed to do the task of counting the fires rather than simply alerting government personnel of danger. So again, the NASA system is designed to count fires. The Brazilian system is not. It is designed to be an early warning system. A little background on Amazon fires in order to put these yearly fires in perspective. The fire season in the Amazon begins with the dry season in late July and peaks in mid-September before ending in November. Nearly all of the fires are intentionally set because dry lightning strikes are rare and it's difficult to begin a fire in a damp rainforest. Ranchers have used fire to clear the forest as it's much easier than felling the timber. It's estimated that up to 15% of the original forest has been cleared in this manner, most of which occurred in the 1990s and 2000s before conservation efforts slowed the loss of forest. Fires are rare during much of the year because it's difficult to start and spread them due to the exceedingly wet nature of the climate. During the dry season, land that has already been cleared is typically burned periodically to regenerate and maintain farmland or pasture. Much of the fire that's been reported as virgin tropical rainforest is existing grassland or farmland that is being regenerated using fire as a tool. So let me just break a couple of things down. By the way, they use the same fear strategy with wildfires out west, too. The fires that are happening in the Amazon right now are at historic averages, okay? There's nothing unusual. And it's not virgin rainforest that is burning. It's farmland and grassland that had already been cleared decades before, and they're doing a reset like they do periodically. So there's the farmlands and stuff that are actually burning on this. So there's a bunch of people who are running around and pretending that the rainforest is literally burning up right now, and it's not accurate. Now, there are fires in the Amazon, but those fires are at average rates from what we usually see. Okay, no reason to get all butthurt about all of that. It's just that this is not one of those, oh, the rainforest was intentionally set on fire because of greedy farmers who want to clear the land, which has basically been the narrative for the past week or so. None of that's true. That's why Brazil is so ticked off. So the president of Brazil basically telling the French president to go jump in a lake and telling him he better apologize because he's spreading a bunch of lies about what's happening in my country and he's treating us like a, quote, colony, which I thought was interesting terminology on his part. And you got all of these celebrities running around and spreading this nonsense, including Joe Rogan, by the way. I saw him on Instagram tweeting this out. We are in the fire season of the Amazon right now. Okay? It's not even in the peak season. The peak season is next month. Okay? But we're in the dry season in the Amazon when these fires happen. But most of these fires happen to be on farmland that was already cleared. It's not rainforest. So, and again, they're doing this to rejuvenate the land because, again, fire does that. So everybody calm down. Everybody chill out. The lungs of the earth are not on fire. The lungs of the earth. That must be something that they do with the Amazon. I don't know. I've never heard that before, but everything is fine. Okay? Everything's okay. The fires that are in the actual rainforest are at normal levels of what we typically see. It's a rainforest. I got news for you. You're never going to not have a fire there. Okay? But the stuff that we're seeing in the news, they're spreading a lot of fake news by posting pictures that are fake photos, like the president of France and several celebrities did. Okay, those were fake photos that were not real. And you have farmers setting their own farmland on fire to rejuvenate the land, as is normal practice to do every few years. That's what's on fire, not the virgin Amazon rainforest. We're not at risk of the rainforest disappearing because of a massive fire that was set by human beings who are just trying to be turds. That's not happening. The media is not telling you the truth. And that's why Brazil is so upset. And they have a right to be upset because everybody is literally lying about them all over the international spectrum. And you've got world leaders having a conniption fit and freaking out, except for one, President Trump. He's the only one who understands the situation, probably because he actually picked up the phone and called the president of Brazil and said, what's going on? And they told him. So he's like, all right, everything's fine. And again, according to the data, which comes from NASA, the fire activity in the Amazon right now is at historic averages. 2 regions are higher than normal, 2 regions are lower than normal, and it's averaged out. There's no extra activity. Anybody who says that the Amazon rainforest fires have increased 84% and that there's been 72,000 fires this year, they're lying to you. I shouldn't say they're lying to you. Leonardo DiCaprio is not intelligent enough to know that he is lying to you. He's just spreading fake news without realizing it because he's a moron. And everybody else who's doing the same thing is also spreading this fake news to all of you who are probably looking at this because we all like the rainforest, right? Unless we're in the rainforest, then we want everything to die in the rainforest because it tries to kill you. But the rainforest is pretty. We know how valuable it is to the ecosystem. Everybody understands that. Nobody wants to see the rainforest go away. And so we all get a little bit bent out of shape when somebody tells us that a bunch of farmers just went into the rainforest and lit the whole dang thing on fire. Turns out none of that actually happened, though. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm Sean Zimmerman, the center among our top stories. Turns out the state of Indiana has one of the highest average college tuition costs in the United States.
Thanks, Notre Dame.
With Rhode Island having the priciest average tuition rates, but Indiana finished 6th on the list with an average in-state tuition of more than $21,000 per year.
You know that's Notre Dame's fault.
From move.org says much of that is due to schools like Notre Dame.
Ha ha ha! Told you.
Notre Dame, IU, Purdue.
Yeah, you could throw Purdue on there. Is IU expensive?
Decent. And Butler.
Butler expensive?
Mm-hmm. I've heard.
Not those tested balls at Ball State, though.
They're pretty middle of the road when it comes to tuition. At least from what I looked at.
What?
D1 schools. There are 4 or 5 D1 schools in Indiana.
They're all losers.
Yeah. Can't stand.
Do we have the ambassador to Brazil in South Bend? They have one of those guys here.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I should say the ambassador from Brazil.
If anything is being Indy, why would it be in Indianapolis?
I mean, why wouldn't it be in South Bend? South Bend is a 21st century city, dude.
Well, you see, Brazil is usually a little bit smarter.
It is the home of a presidential candidate.
Candidate. When you could go to the home of the vice president. Then again, we are getting an esports movie now, so
That's, yeah, you never know. Brazil, they love their video games. Did we do a whole Brazilian video game thing recently? I feel like we did.
Not that I'm aware of.
I feel like we have. I do. Ugh.
Yeah, listening to Fox News.
All of this fake news makes me want to go down to Brazil and actually light the rainforest on fire, because then at least we would be reporting accurate news, for crying out loud.
Clearing skies as we head throughout the rest of today with temperatures up to 78 degrees. We do have a chance for an isolated shower, but most will stay dry. Tonight we drop down to 56 underneath those clear skies. Wednesday, sunny, a high of 74.
Yep. All right. Oh, speaking of hurricanes, since y'all are chatting about hurricanes, it's been an unusually quiet year for hurricanes, too. Weird, because for the 12th year in a row, they have predicted record hurricane numbers that haven't come true.
And the meat markets. This is the Tuesday closing farm market report on Hoosier Ag Today. Monday's USDA crop ratings improved, and that was a burden on the market on Tuesday.
So the soybean market gives just about everything gained on Monday back, and corn remains relatively flat. September 357.
Common sense should be classified as a superpower.
6.25 down 2, and March 377 3/4 off 2 3/4. September beans 8.
Interesting. On the Clips channel, but not the main channel.
Down 8. Jam beans 873, 7.5 lower. Some quiet up movement in the wheat market. September 473 3/4, up 3/4. Livestock down. October live cattle 99.77.
The mama bear.
$1.22. And October lean hogs 63.22 off 50.
I actually thought The Revenant was pretty good. It wasn't Oscar worthy, but it was pretty good. I thought it was a joke that was an Oscar movie, but now you got suck-ass Joe Walsh running around and going, I lost my radio show now that I'm running for president. Yeah, moron. You can't run for office and keep your radio show. That is Radio 102. Not 101, because Pale is 101. But Radio 102 is if you run for office, you lose your show. Idiot. People. I just found out that I lost my national radio show. Who nobody listens to. Yeah. You announced you're running for president. They can't legally keep you on. You have to be fired.
Do you want to learn to speak a new language but don't have enough time? Then you need to try Babbel, a language learning app that you can try for free right now at Babbel.com.
Doop, 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 doop.
15 minutes or less, and you can go at your own pace. You'll be amazed at how easy Babbel makes it. Start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Just download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com now. That's Babbel.com.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast and for a fair price, call me at 574-294-5678. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and in any location. I am not a realtor or associated with any realty company. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy even more. Call me at 574-294-5678.
I have not seen it. I have saved it into my list for when I'm finished with the current season of the other show that I'm watching. But, I mean, it looks interesting. It could be fun or it could be too hokey. So, Hyperdrive on Netflix. So, we'll see. It's a racing show. Like a game show. Reality game show thing. Ugh.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is... Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds
Yeah, he
them for
is.
you. Its powerful technology identifies people with...
Well, he'll lose his local, too.
And actively invites them to apply to your job. You get
He will
qualified
absolutely lose his
candidates
local.
fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter.
No, that's not what keeps me from running for president.
First day, ZipRecruiter.
Saying things like, I wish we could just go and actually light the Amazon rainforest on fire so then the news would be real. That keeps me from running for president. Because those sound bites are everywhere.
That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
From the final phase electric studios. From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical.
All right, here we go.
It's Casey Hendrickson.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595. 953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. Tactical Training Systems is teaming up with Second Amendment Arms and Range again, and they are having an advanced handgun course on the 31st. So you only have days to register, okay? Go to secondamendmentarms.net or visit them in person. Go and register for the advanced handgun course and really take your shooting to the next level. Acquiring targets, stances, tactical reloading, one-handed reloading, bunch of cool stuff that they're going to be teaching you. And when you get out of that class, you are going to be much more proficient than the vast majority of your friends. So impress them at the bar with your gun skills. Go to secondamendmentarms.net. But Joe, you can do that in Arizona. You can't do it here, but you can do it in Arizona. All right. I'm going to save that story for later. That's a good story. All right, so let's go over some of the pharma things that have happened today. There's been a couple of big cases involving drugs, and not the fun drugs, the less fun drugs. All right. Oklahoma. A judge holds J&J, that's Johnson & Johnson, liable in opioid epidemic, orders $572 million in damages. That is Reuters. An Oklahoma judge on August 26th found Johnson & Johnson liable for fueling an opioid epidemic in the state by deceptively marketing painkillers and ordered the drug maker to pay damages of $572 million. Judge Thad Balkman of Cleveland County District Court in Norman, Oklahoma, delivered his decision in a lawsuit alleging that Johnson & Johnson marketing practices fueled the opioid epidemic by flooding the market with painkillers. By the way, I have never understood the logic of blaming them for this. I haven't. If you flood the market with painkillers, okay, that doesn't mean you suck them down your gullet abusively. Now, they're addictive. All right. No doubt about that. I don't understand how it's the company's fault. Okay. Shares of Johnson & Johnson rose 5% following the verdict. They rose 5% following the verdict. Interesting. So you get hit with a $572 million judgment, and you've got your stocks go up? Okay. Now, a case brought by Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter was the first to go to trial out of the thousands of lawsuits filed by state and local governments against opioid manufacturers and distributors. Now, again, this is an effort we don't know what to do, so we have to blame somebody. This is kind of the same thing with the gun control crowd. There's a shooting, you can't blame the individual responsible for the shooting. It must be the people who made the gun the shooter used. It's their fault. Hunter had been seeking to make Johnson & Johnson pay more than $17 billion to help the state address the epidemic for the next 30 years through addiction treatment and prevention programs. And if he had gotten that $17 billion, exactly 100,000, maybe 150,000 would have actually gone towards drug treatment and prevention programs. The rest of it would have gone to pet projects like building stupid little parks and buying mobile radio stations and things like that. Right, South Bend? The trial came after Oklahoma resolved claims against OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma in March for $270 million, against Teva Pharmaceutical Industries Ltd. in May for $85 million, leaving Johnson & Johnson as the lone defendant. The litigation has been closely watched by plaintiffs in about 2,000 opioid lawsuits pending before a federal judge in Ohio, who has been pushing for a settlement ahead of an October trial. Now, some of the plaintiffs' lawyers have compared the opioid cases to litigation by states against tobacco that led to a $246 billion settlement in 1998. Now, the difference with that is tobacco pretended that smoking cigarettes was healthy for a long period of time, and some of the stuff that they did, obviously, they deserve some of the punishment that they got. Although I think some of the punishment has continued to be excessive. Now, upon learning of all of this, Purdue Pharma has offered $10 to $12 billion to settle 2,000 plus opioid lawsuits. So this happened right after we got the word of the ruling today. The maker of OxyContin, Purdue Pharma, and its owners, the Sackler family, are offering to settle more than 2,000 lawsuits against the company for $10 billion to $12 billion. The potential deal was part of a confidential conversation and discussed by Purdue's lawyers at a meeting in Cleveland last Tuesday. So they announced it right after the judge awarded the lawsuit to the plaintiffs in the Johnson & Johnson case. brought by states, cities, and counties. The lawsuits, some of which have been combined into one massive case, allege that the company and the Sackler family are responsible for starting and sustaining the opioid crisis. At least 10 state attorneys general and plaintiffs' attorneys gathered in Cleveland, where David Sackler represented the Sackler family, according to two people familiar with the meeting. David Sackler, who was a board member of the company, has recently been the de facto family spokesperson. So there is that. I got your phone calls on this and more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Served up by the Prime Table Restaurant in Niles. Does your family or group meet regularly?
Exactly, Oberos.
Just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
Clearing skies as we head throughout the day with temperatures warming up to 78 degrees. We do have a chance for an isolated shower or two, but most will stay dry through the rest of today. Temperatures do drop down to 56.
Well, that's just it. They're holding the company responsible for saturating the market, but they saturated the market because the demand was there, because doctors and patients felt that it was effective to have Oxy and everything else. Look, I remember Oxy being known as dangerous and addictive when I was a child. So the notion that somehow this snuck up on us is a farcical unicorn fart. None of it is real. Vicodin, Oxy, all of it. We've known that they are dangerous for since they came out, for crying out loud. By the way, Jim Graffa, thank you for the follow on Facebook. I do appreciate that.
Honoring more than 3 million Americans who served in the Vietnam War and bearing the names of more than 58,000 men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. The Wall That Heals, September 19th through the 22nd at St. Joseph Funeral Home and Cemetery in St. Bend.
Hi, I'm Mike Bernard, financial advisor and partner at Corhorn Financial Group. Any advice that we give at Corhorn Financial Group, people know how it's going to impact their cash flow and their retirement plan and their investment and tax plan, how it impacts all of it. Well, I think in general, people are looking for clarity and confidence that they're on the right track financially.
Had a meeting about noise today. Learned some things. It's gonna be cool, folks. Just saying. Start saving your money. November 2nd. Tickets will go on sale before then. I think we may start ticket sales here real soon too, by the way. So get your stuff ready.
Your local Versatile dealer, Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment in Wakarusa, has the new Versatile Front Wheel Assist tractor in stock. The Versatile Front Wheel Assist has a new style for better visibility and maximum in-field performance. Available
Daily show prep. Show prep. So daily.
The Versatile Front Wheel Assist features a smooth shifting 16-speed full power shift transmission. The cab is designed for operator comfort and features a climate control movable right-hand console for single lever shifting. Check out the restyled Versatile Front Wheel Assist at Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment, your Versatile dealer in Wakarusa. At Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment, we believe hard work doesn't have to be hard or expensive. And having the right tools will help make hard work easier and more economical. Our experienced team members will work with you to find the versatile tractor that best fits your needs. We also offer a full line of parts and certified service technicians. Depend on the power and simplicity of the Versatile Front Wheel Assist.
Where did he go? Why did he hang up?
Find us online at weaveragadlawn.com.
No one has patience.
What do you need done on your
Wuss.
The basement
Call
could be
back.
The kitchen needs updated. Your deck is not the way you want it. Or maybe you just want an entirely new room added to your home. That's when you call Graber Custom Remodeling. They come to your home with vision and experience that leads to some of the finest projects done in the area. Graber is a family name and it's put on every project they do. There are no corners to cut. Everything is measured twice. Graber Custom Remodeling works with higher-end vendors, materials, and craftsmen to complete truly custom projects.
So when did Oxy
In your mind and meet with the Graber team, you begin to
Cotton
see
come to the market?
whether you're restoring a 100-year-old farmhouse, creating your ultimate living space, or taking your kitchen to the next level. Make it custom and make it a family decision.
all of the Graver family and Graver Custom Remodeling. Online at gravercustomremodeling.com.
Mishawaka's news channel. Would you like to talk to Casey? Are you calling about the opioid Johnson & Johnson thing?
Your breaking news and weather station.
Oh, okay. I'll try to get you on it, Dan.
Music.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So we're talking a little bit about the drug lawsuits and everything else. I also ran into an article on who actually gets the money in these lawsuits. I'll give you some information out of that here in just a couple of minutes. Dan, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hi, Casey. How's it going?
It's going well. What's up?
Okay, so from the other end of the opioid crisis, I was an addict for 8 years. Hurt my back at work. They put me on stuff, progressed through the entire gamut of pain meds, went to pain management. Instead of, firing shots at the pharmaceutical companies who actually just make these drugs, maybe aim a little bit closer to home at the guys who keep shoving them down your throat.
Well, see, and this is the thing that kind of gets me. So, like, obviously with the Johnson & Johnson, they're talking about the OxyContin and everything else. But when I was a child, we knew that Oxy was dangerous.
Right.
So why are we pretending that all of a sudden that this is a new thing that sneaks up on people simply because opioids got really, really bad?
No, it's not a new thing, but instead of being heroin or any other kind of, like illicit drug, these are pharmaceutical grade opiates.
Yeah, people figured out that there was an easier, slightly more legal path to getting their fix. And doctors have helped with that. So
yes, they have.
You have, and I've heard a lot of patients in the same position as you, Dan. Doctors are shoving narcotics down their throat, and they got hooked on them, and then next thing you know, their life spirals out of control and that sort of thing. It's it's less on the manufacturer and more on the people who prescribe it.
Right, exactly my point. Luckily, thank God for intervening. I came to a realization in my life that I had enough. It was starting to adversely affect everything in my life. So I put an end to it, but it took me over a year just to get off of the amount of stuff that they had me on. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm glad you got out of it, and I'm glad you're okay, but
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and also
it was a hard road.
Look, dude, I know people have been addicted to them, 100%. And I've had, all of my doctors throughout my adult life work to keep me off of narcotics, just because, it happens to be very common in radio for people to be addicted to these things, just because we have weird quirks and pains and things like that. So it ends up being relatively common. So, so I've had a good medical team, most of my adult life, working to make sure that I don't have that stuff. And I appreciate that. There's others who keep telling me, just take the narc. And I'm like, I don't want the narc. I'll take the narc if it works. And it's the only thing that works, but I'm going to try everything else first.
Well, see, that's the thing. For pain, it doesn't work. It just makes you so high you don't care that you're in pain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's all I had.
I appreciate it.
I would aim a little closer to home than the pharmaceutical companies.
There you go.
These doctors, I mean, once it started, every block had a pain center or pain management center open up. So
we've also put systems in place now because we realize that people were doctor shopping on this stuff, and so we're able to kind of help prevent some of the stuff that was happening before. But that's because we figured out how the addicts were gaming the system and how certain doctors were not doing their due diligence to protect their patients. That has nothing to do with Johnson & Johnson. It's like, well, they flooded the market. Well, Johnson & Johnson's like, wow, a lot of people are taking our drugs. We have to make more. They weren't, this was not supply driving demand. Demand was driving supply.
Yeah, it was just business for them.
Yeah.
They weren't eating the things.
Exactly.
But, a lot of people else were.
There you go. All right, Dan, I appreciate it, man. Thank you much.
All right, thanks.
All right, you take care. Like I said, I'm glad he got clean and got off of this. So Gizmodo has a whole article on kind of what happens, who's going to get the money from these lawsuits and things of that nature. Let's see. So Cheryl Healton, Dean of College of Global Public Health at New York University. I think this is a great public health victory for starters, she told Gizmodo by the phone. But even though $572.1 million sounds like a huge amount of money, it's a one-time amount to cover multiple years of a problem, which will not easily disappear. And they kind of talk about, you all know, I mean, the lawyers are going to get the vast majority of this. The vast majority of the money is paid so far to Big Tobacco, hasn't gone to programs intended to prevent new smokers or help current smokers quit. We already know that. So the lawyers are going to get theirs. People will get a little bit when the politicians get theirs, since these are state lawsuits coming in from the attorneys general. The state's going to get it. They're going to put it in their general fund. It's going to be a whole thing. Every state that I know of that had a Big Tobacco lawsuit or something like that, it doesn't go for its stated purpose. Didn't Indiana, like 6 years ago or 7 years, didn't they sell the rights under Governor Pence for their tobacco settlement? And basically what they did is they forward funded it or something. Don't quote me on that. I got to go back and look, but I thought that they sold it at a discount so they can get upfront cash. So it's kind of like the if you need cash now guy. If you need cash now, give us a call. Cheryl, welcome to the program.
Yeah, I was just listening to this conversation, and I just wanted to say I work in the medical profession. I'm not a doctor or a nurse or anything, but I see a lot of people come in, and to be honest, a lot of people want their medications. They want their drugs.
Sure.
We're a nation here where people want their drugs, and I've seen how they get upset when their doctors try to wean them off of painkillers and stuff, and how upset they get.
Oh yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people who need that stuff and everything, but I think personal responsibility is a big thing here. And I don't agree with the drug companies and all their stuff, but at the same time, I think this lawsuit I think that's ridiculous. I think the responsibility lies back more on the consumer and on those who prescribe them and everything of trying to control that.
I 100% know people who want to go to the doctor and they want to get a drug that will fix their legitimate problem, but also get them buzzed at the same time. 100%.
Yeah, and it's so true. That is what they want. I actually worked one time at a place where a woman called in. She wanted to get through the wedding. She had a very distressful pre-wedding experience with her daughter who was getting married, and she just wanted a tiny quote.
Oh my gosh!
Tiny, teeny little
Good
pill
Lord!
To get her through the weekend.
You can't do that.
Now,
hey, Cheryl, I'm out of time. I'm so sorry,
okay.
but you're right. You're right. There are people who want that. They might have a legitimate problem, they might not, but they absolutely want to get the high too. It's a bonus. It's an absolute bonus. Meanwhile, Michigan's legalized marijuana. We got more coming up.
WTRC FM and HD1, Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
I'm going to go grab some more coffee. I'll be right back. You know what? I have a coffee cup this time, okay? I have a mug. Mugs protect my drink. I'm going to play a commercial because today's the last day.
All right, what's up, everybody? Casey here. So I'm getting ready to start the show, and I'm just doing this with my phone, so it doesn't look as good as it usually does. But anyway, I wanted to let you know that I've started the Black Rifle Coffee giveaway. As most of you know who followed the stream, I was going to go ahead and give away some Black Rifle Coffee if we got to 2,000 subscribers at the end of July, and we have beaten that goal. We're at 2,070 right now. So, one, thank you very much for the support. I appreciate it. The more we can grow the channel, the better. And by the way, that means that I get to do awesome things like this for all of you. So I have 2 bags of Black Rifle Coffee Liberty Blend, okay? 2 bags that I am going to be giving away to 2 listeners. So I'm going to have 2 winners. Each one's going to get 1 bag. So here's the deal. I have a link that is on my Facebook page. It's in contest giveaway, my tabs. You can see that. I have a blog post at theburningtruth.us. And I will put the link to the contest in the description of this video, okay? There is really only one rule. The rule is you must be a subscriber of my YouTube channel, all right? Liking a video, commenting on a video, don't count. You have to actually subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can get extra entries by liking me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, that sort of stuff. But you don't have to do those if you don't want to. Additionally, in the contest, I have included a coupon.
I don't know if that thing played all the way or not, but, you get the general idea. Tomorrow's the day.
America is listening to Fox News.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. News Time 95.3, Michiana's news channel, and 95.3 MNC.com.
MNC News Time 4:02. I'm John 70, MNC News Center. Among our top stories this afternoon, police are still asking for any tips or clues from the public after a shooting with 7 men.
Unfortunately, I can't put you through, ma'am, as it's not currently our topic, but you can call us Friday at 5 o'clock during open lines, and we can give you a call back. Okay? Right. Thank you.
SUV. The Park West neighborhood in South Bend is again dealing with a serial flasher.
Rolling. He's on his, he's talking about his cruise. So there's too many women on the ship who shouldn't be wearing the bathing suits that they're wearing. Ruined his appetite. Dress appropriately for your figure, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not giving it. I mean, you had to register for it, right? So if you registered for it, who's really the racist here, Roland? The Farmer's Almanac is predicting a horrible winter, by the way.
Representatives were also on scene conducting an investigation. However, they have yet to release any information regarding the incident.
Suppose I got to tell you about the new trade deal with Japan.
Clearing skies as we head throughout the rest of today with temperatures warming up to 78 degrees. We do have a chance for an isolated shower, but most will stay dry. Tonight we drop down to 56 underneath those clear skies, and then for Wednesday, mostly sunny, a high of 74, just a little bit breezy.
I left my damn toothpicks at home.
Neighborhood Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Emily Kennedy.
Got jerky in my molars.
MNC Studios. I'm John 70 News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Need a quick update on the latest news and issues? Just ask your smart speaker for us. 95.3 MNC on Alexa.
Oh, by the way,
Smart speakers everywhere. News Talk 95.3.
I actually had Wish.com orders come through for me. Because usually when I order at Wish.com, they don't come through for me. Guess how much these were?
$5.
10. Plus their shipping, whatever it is. But now the tan was 10. If I got black, it's like 15. So tan. They work real well, dude. Not too shabby. Pretty good sound on them and everything. Oh yeah, I didn't show you guys. Those are the wireless earbud dealios that actually stay in my ear too. So you just stick them in, sync to your phone. I need something good for the motorcycle. But yeah, no, it worked well. I was very pleased. And then I also got a little safety thing for my motorcycle, and I only have one more thing that's not here yet. But those came like 2 weeks before they were supposed to.
Summer's ending, and savings are back in business with Dell's Labor Day sale. Small businesses can save up to 40% on select business computers with Intel processors, plus free shipping on everything. A selection of thousands of top-brand electronics. Give our specially trained small business technology advisors a call. They can help you find just the right tech to fit your business with Labor Day savings. Visit Dell.com/business deals or call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
The Bow Elk's bugle, one of nature's most wondrous sounds.
I don't know, I call it wondrous, but
That's Kim. Her RV sewage tank is
I
spewing
mean, it's
all
distinctive.
over. Way out in the middle of elk country. Yep, there's an elk. And that's Kim. It's wild out there. When it gets too wild, Progressive has your RV covered. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
On the final Final Phase Electric Studios. From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3 Michiana's.
Yeah, that dry heat thing that's a load of crap.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3 Michiana's news channel. Dang near spilled my coffee again. But you know why it didn't spill, Joe? Because it's in a coffee mug this time, so it just made a clackety-clack sound. It didn't actually go all over the board and all over your side of the desk like it did yesterday with the cheap little foam cup thing that they have in the office because they don't like us. Anyway, 574-25-95-95-3. That is 2595-953. What, I'm not allowed to criticize their choice of cups? Yeah, with other people's mouths on them. No, they don't wash them. Have you ever seen anybody rinse out one of those coffee mugs over there? Yeah. Have they used soap? I don't know. Yeah, I've never seen them use soap. There's a couple of generic coffee mugs by the coffee area that goes in the dirty cupboards that have never been washed. And the last time that I saw anybody touch those mugs, it was literally just I'll put some of the dirty water. Not even the clean water, okay? The dirty water, which is not even potable, I don't think. And then they go ahead and swirl it around. That's it. No scrubbing where your lips go and all of that stuff. So this basically just they're just designed to give you herpes over there. So I don't do those mugs. I have my own mugs and I keep them safe and sound and locked away in my studio. Anyway, 574-25-95-95-3. That is 2595-953. What, now I can't say that my coworkers have herpes? Have you seen some of the people who work upstairs? Have you seen some of the people who work in that radio station right there next to us with a connecting wall? Anyway, learn how to shoot people good. Go to Second Amendment Arms and Range at secondamendmentarms.net. They have an advanced handgun course that is coming up on the 31st, so time is running out for you to register. And again, they're going to teach you all sorts of advanced tactical situational awareness and strategies to go ahead and make sure that you survive. God forbid you ever have to draw your weapon. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. Register for that class. It starts at 9 a.m. on the 31st, goes till 5 p.m. So block out your day if you're going to do it, but it's going to be well worth it. Thousands of migrants. I have not covered this story yet, but when did this come out? This came out on the 22nd, so it's 5 days old. More than 2,000 Central American migrants have returned to their homelands using a program that offers free transportation for the trip. Now, that is according to the United Nations. The Assisted Voluntary Return Program has transported 2,170 migrants who were either detained at or never got to the U.S. border, according to an official with the UN. This is all in Reuters, by the way. Let's see. When they saw the reality, some decided to go home, he said of the migrants. He noted that the mission's objective, in part, is to correct misinformation about how easy it is to cross the U.S. southern border illegally. So the UN is apparently working to inform the migrants that it's not as easy as you think it is. The program is funded by the United States State Department and has cost $1.65 million, according to Reuters. Immigration activists and advocates, I should say, have expressed concern that the program violates the prohibition under the international law of returning asylum seekers unwillingly to nations where they could be prosecuted, or persecuted, should say. We all know they're not being persecuted. Here's the thing, though. It's voluntary, so they're going back willingly. Basically, they get there, they look around, they go, well, this isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world to do. And the United Nations says, do you want to go home? Because we can fly you home. And a lot of them say yes. Over 2,100 of them have said yes. All migrants transported under the jurisdiction of the program are vetted by the IOM to verify that they are willingly choosing to return, according to the UN. He said that the program offers a safer way for migrants to return home than if they arrange their own transportation, which would likely be the caravans where people were raped and robbed and mugged and beaten and all that other stuff. Some migrants are allegedly forced to wait for their trials in Mexican border towns with unfavorable living conditions, pro-migrant advocates said. So again, the pro-migrant advocates, their entire line of thinking is they get into the United States and they are free in the United States no matter what. Everything else is wrong. It doesn't matter if they're lying. It doesn't matter if they're not being persecuted. Their whole goal is to get them into the United States and have them free and running around in the United States. Whether that's legally or illegally, they don't care. How can it be a voluntary decision to return home given the conditions that they face in Mexico? It's a choice between two hells, said Las Americas Immigrant Advocacy Center attorney Nicholas Palazzo. Isn't calling Mexico and calling the home country that many of these migrants come from hell, isn't that kind of like saying that they're bleep hole countries, Joe? Who do we know that said bleep hole countries that people had a real visceral reaction to? I have to look it up. Somebody called some of these countries bleep hole countries, and I remember the press and activists getting really upset about that. Now they do it all the time. Kind of interesting. So now I've got an update. 1 in 4 new immigrants being returned to Mexico to await deportation hearings. So 1 in 4 new immigrants are being returned to Mexico to await deportation hearings. A fourth of all new immigrants entering the United States illegally through Mexico are being returned to that country to wait their deportation hearings as Department of Homeland Security officials ramp up the new process that was begun earlier this year. Data obtained under the Federal Freedom of Information Act by the Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse track at Syracuse University and made public on August 26 showed that in July, the latest month for which the information was available, the individuals involved in 11,804 new cases were returned to Mexico to await their deportation court hearing dates. Overall, there were a total of 53,007 new cases in July, meaning that 22% of them, or roughly 1/4, were processed through the Migrant Protection Protocols Program. The July total compared to 5,883 such cases in June, 5,161 in May, for a 101% increase month to month. Only 15 MPP cases were processed that much. That's in that month in January, followed by 164 in February, 339 in March, and then in April, 2,629. So the MPP program marked a radical change by the DHS, as previously the individuals involved in such cases could be detained no more than 20 days at U.S. facilities. They were then released and allowed to remain wherever they chose to in the country based solely on their promise to return for their court dates. That was the catch and release program in which 90% of them never come back. As has been a steady pattern in recent years, the majority of illegal immigrant cases in July originated from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Mexico was the point of origin for over 6,000 of those new cases entering the U.S. through the southern border, followed by Cuba with 4,089 cases. Other countries in the July country of origin list included Venezuela, Ecuador, Nicaragua, India, and China. So again, as the program is ramped up, instead of having catch and release in the United States, where we hold them for 20 days and we have to let them go and they can go wherever they want in the U.S. and live here illegally, they are now, about 22% of them in July, were now sent back to Mexico to await their hearing. And a lot of those, I would assume, are going to that UN program and saying, I would like to go home now. And then UN flies them home. They don't have to do the caravan thing. They don't have to risk being hurt on this long journey or trek. They're being cared for. So as they realize they're not going to be able to stay in the United States and they're being put back into Mexico, they have a decision to make. You stay in Mexico and await your hearing and then hopefully get into the United States on your false asylum claim, or do you hop on a plane and go back home and say, well, I gave it the old college try, but that's not going to work. That's probably what's ended up happening. So two interesting stories that kind of tied together on all of this, but it also shows that the market change in our policies there are starting to work. And it's been actually kind of impressive since April, considering the previous months that we're talking about dozens, maybe 100 or so. Now we're into the thousands of migrants who are now being sent back over into Mexico to await their hearings in the United States. And again, none of them have legitimate claims. I shouldn't say none. 99.8, maybe 99.9% of them do not have legitimate asylum claims. They're garbage claims, and they know it, which is why they're going home. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Michiana's news channel is everywhere. The top news.
Arg. My eyes are burning.
Weather served up by the Prime Table in Niles. 25 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Now, home comfort experts for Air Conditioning Professionals 5-day forecast.
Clearing skies as we head throughout the day with temperatures warming up to 78 degrees. We do have a chance for an isolated shower or two, but most will stay dry through the rest of today. Temperatures do drop down to 56 underneath those clear skies for tonight, and then for Wednesday, plenty of sunshine with a daytime high of 74 degrees. Now, it will be a little bit windy, so not the best beach days. High wave patches are expected along the Lake Michigan shoreline. For Thursday, we'll reach a high of 78 degrees with mostly sunny to partly sunny skies. As another weak cold front moves through for Thursday night, we'll have a chance for a few showers. We'll dry up for Friday, but temperatures will be left much cooler, only a high of 73 degrees with partly cloudy skies. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Kennedy.
The top news stories.
They would love to see a guy like Sleepy Joe Biden, who has no clue what the hell he's doing.
8 more years of Donald Trump will change America in a fundamental way.
The opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math.
The ayes are 67, the nays are 28, and the bill is passed.
Right now, no one's worried about the deficit and the debt. There's a day of reckoning with this.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Your breaking news and weather station.
Yeah, I'm having a day. I'm exhausted too. I didn't get any sleep last night. And I'm hungry, so I'm cranky.
Every day. We're not here to just beat our chest about our experience in education. Well, that may be important. We're really here to discuss you and the challenges you'll face in retirement. You are unique, and we are willing to put in the time and effort to ensure you receive a plan that's tailored just for you. Give us a call today for a free consultation to discuss how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like inflation, healthcare emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. Let's get to work right now to get you on the road to financial confidence. 866-482-9559.
Happy says, woke the phone to hear iHeart playing Casey dissing the others in the building before learn to shoot others well. Oh, funny.
When those giant scissors come out for a grand opening ceremony, it's the staff that's in the photo. Behind the scenes of any office or industrial build are numerous contractors tirelessly taking dreams from drawing board to reality with precision, on schedule, and on budget. From the very first step to the final phase, you need the trusted experience of a team who knows how to get the job done. Final Phase Electric has the tools and the experience to make your dreams a reality and can step in at any time to assess your project with a level of unmatched precision.
Yep, you're right, Roland. That inhumane comment.
Positive results through positive people, and we're positive that we can help you with your commercial or industrial project.
Yeah, they don't really talk about Cubans getting to the U.S., do they?
522-4444. That's 574-522-4444. Let us take the guesswork out of your project and help you sleep easy. You've got better things to do. Let us hook you up. Find Final Phase Electric on Facebook or visit finalphaseelectric.net.
According to a new study, these are the things that make us most stressed in the workplace. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I saw that, Sam. That thing in Dayton. Oh, no, we got a lot more than that, Frank.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, AC Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-3. That is 2595953. I almost spilled my coffee again. It's going to be one of those things. All right. I do want to thank R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. Casey, throwing the stereotypes today. People in that radio station, same building, must be a coworker. Learn to shoot people good like people with herpes. I went from one thing into my read for the advanced handgun course. I am not, of course, threatening the lives of anybody in the building. Don't need to have that conversation on my way out of the building. We have had a couple of times where they thought somebody might come back and start putting lead to the staff. So I don't want to be in that category. All right, 574-25-95-95-3. That's 2595953. The president has hit back at a so-called Axios scoop. Axios is a media publication. And Axios is telling everybody, this is not the first time that we have heard this story. Everybody's pretending that this is new. But Axios is saying that there's a report that the president asked if he could nuke hurricanes in order to stop them. This is not the first time that we have heard this, okay? But again, try a smear, move on to the next thing when it doesn't work, move on to the next thing when that doesn't work, move on to the next thing, and then come back and try the original smear again. That's what the media is doing. So the president is blasting Axios for this. President Donald Trump called an Axios story alleging that he suggested using nuclear bombs to stop hurricanes from hitting the U.S. is ridiculous. The Axios story published Sunday wrote that Trump has suggested multiple times to senior Homeland Security and national security officials that they explore using nuclear bombs to stop hurricanes from hitting the United States. This was debunked months ago, and they're still running with it. The story comes from unnamed sources, some of whom heard recordings of the comments, according to Axios. Okay, so the people giving the information to Axios claim that they heard recordings of it, and they swear it's true, but people at Axios have never actually heard those recordings. See? So Trump took to Twitter. He says, the story by Axios that I wanted to blow up large hurricanes with nuclear weapons prior to reaching shore is ridiculous. Never said this, just more fake news. Let's see. In another instance, Trump allegedly wondered if the U.S. could bomb hurricanes to prevent them from hitting the U.S. This time, he did not use the word nuclear, according to the source. Following the story, some of Trump's critics hit back at him with 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris tweeting, "Dudes gotta go." So Kamala Harris, who just got done saying that Michael Brown was murdered, okay, which is fake news, is running around and now buying into the story that the president wants to nuke hurricanes, which is something that came up before and has already been debunked. It is derangement. There's no words to mince with. It's total derangement syndrome. They have absolutely. I don't even know how to describe it, folks. They're nuts. Okay, they're crazy. They're feral. They need to be in an insane asylum. You know, when you have experts come on your show, experts come on your show and diagnose the president with having some kind of mental illness, those are the people that need to be committed. They're obviously not stable. Anyway, 574-25-95-95-3. I'll piggyback this one just because we talked about immigration here and I only have a couple of minutes. In 2018, 64% of federal arrests were of non-U.S. citizens, according to the Justice Department. All right. For comparison, in 1998, 63% of all federal arrests were U.S. citizens. While non-U.S. citizens make up 7% of the U.S. population, per the Census Bureau, they accounted for 15% of all federal arrests and 15% of all prosecutions in U.S. District Court for non-immigration crimes in 2018. Non-U.S. citizens accounted for 24% of all federal drug arrests and 25% of all federal property arrests, including 28% of all federal fraud arrests. The report comes as swarms of migrants from Central America have been flooding into the U.S.-Mexico border. Let's see. The report notes that foreigners from places other than Mexico have skyrocketed. A country of citizenship of persons arrested by federal law enforcement changed notably over time. From 1998 to 2018, Mexican citizens' share of federal arrests rose from 28% to 40%. Citizens of Central American countries' share of federal arrests rose from 1% to 20% during the same period, while U.S. citizens' share of federal arrests fell from 63% to 36%. Federal arrests of Central Americans rose more than 30-fold over 2 decades, and it was 1,171 in 1998. It is now nearly 40,000 in 2018. The number of federal arrests of Mexican citizens, over 78,000, exceeded the number of federal arrests for all U.S. citizens, which is just over 70,000 in 2018. So in federal cases, more Mexican citizens are arrested than U.S. citizens on an annual basis. That's just Mexican. But, again, they're just good people, and none of them commit any crimes. Americans are actually the bad ones. Let's see. Across 20 years, 95% of the increase in federal arrests were due to immigration crimes from 1998 to 2018. Federal immigration arrests increased fivefold, rising more than 50,000 in 1 year from 2017 to 2018. And in 2018, 90% of suspects arrested for federal immigration crimes were male, 10% were female, 85% of federal arrests of non-U.S. citizens in 2018 were for immigration offenses, and another 5% of arrests were immigration related. So, what else do we have here? Of suspects that have been prosecuted in the U.S. District Court in 2018, 57% were U.S. citizens, 43% were non-U.S. citizens. Almost all of the non-citizens prosecuted in U.S. District Court were prosecuted for something other than first-time illegal entry. All right. Let's see. The problem with at the border has been worsening steadily over the last few years. They go into some statistics at various spots on the border, like where the worst spots are and that sort of thing. The point is, and I did this on a fake news flash, I think last year. There is, when you look at the criminal history and you look at the detention aspect of it, there is a large amount of non-citizens that are incarcerated right now. And I'm not talking about immigration people. Large number, disproportionate to their population. And then you've got people running around and saying, well, these people come into the country, they just want a better life for themselves. And, criminals can want better lives for themselves too. So sometimes criminals who are on the run from the law in their own country go to other countries in order to go ahead and try and start over. Do you remember when they interviewed that guy in one of the caravans, when the whole caravan thing was happening a few months back? And one of the reasons that he gave that he was hoping to get into the United States was that he wanted to start over because he had a criminal record in his home country. I forget where that was. I don't know if it was Honduras or Guatemala or what have you. And do you remember what his criminal record was? I think it was like attempted murder or something, right? So he had that. He had a couple of things. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to get into the United States and my record is clean. I get to start over and I don't have to worry about that anymore. And like, oh, great. Violent criminal coming into the United States because he thinks he can start over again. I posted several stories over the past couple of days of illegal immigrant rapists, and several of whom would have been deported if not for sanctuary cities giving them shelter and hiding them from federal authorities who would have gotten them out of the country. And again, this is another common storyline in the United States. So my issue with illegal immigration is it's kind of twofold. I'm less concerned about the cost, although the cost of illegal immigrants is very, very, very high. I am concerned about, one, American citizens getting hurt, which is common with illegal immigrants. Now, this happens with violent crime. It happens with rape, murder. It happens with people getting on the roads, whether they're drunk or not, and killing Americans in automobile accidents. And that's something that I don't want to see. The other aspect is I don't want to see that genuinely good people are trying to make a better life for themselves and their family. I don't want to see them get taken advantage of by the predators who are responsible for getting them here and smuggling them here, because those people are raped, they are murdered, they're kidnapped, they are sold into slavery, and I don't want to see any of that happen. And so when you go out there and you say that you don't care about any of that, you're telling everybody you don't give a damn about American citizens, but you also don't care about any of these people who are not a pervasive criminal element, I should say. You don't care about them either in the risks that they're taking and potentially being seriously damaged and hurt. In fact, you're encouraging them to take more risk when they shouldn't be taking more risk. They should be staying at home or at least going through the normal legal process of trying to get to the United States. And you can do that a couple of different ways. Now, whether that is, I just want to apply for immigration status, or they have a unique skill for a visa, or if they want to marry somebody and get here with a green card thing, whatever path they choose to take is entirely up to them. But the reality is that a lot of Americans die and are seriously hurt because of illegal immigrants, and a lot of illegal immigrants are taken advantage of both by Americans and by coyotes and others who are smuggling them here. And many of them, in fact, end up seriously hurt with rape, torture, slavery, that sort of thing. And I don't want to see that happen either. I mean, just basic human compassion says that you don't support this behavior. 574-2595, 95.3. Live streaming on youtube.com/Casey the host. Today is the last day for you to register to win the Black Rifle Coffee. Go to youtube.com/Casey the host. If you go to my YouTube channel, the video that automatically plays for the vast majority of you should be the Black Rifle Coffee video. In the description of that video, there's a link. Click that. Register, follow the directions, register to win the Black Rifle Coffee. The drawing will be tomorrow, probably after the show tomorrow. So I'm going to get done with the show, and then I'll do a live stream. I'll continue the live stream, I should say, and we'll do the giveaway right then and there. We'll have 2 winners winning a bag of Black Rifle Coffee. If you don't win, there's still a coupon code for you to save money on Black Rifle Coffee if you want to order some for yourself. It's entirely up to you if you want to do that. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
My eyes burn.
Hi. Hello.
What do you want?
Do you need the router panel at all? Like 30 minutes.
That's. I did nothing. Yeah, buddy. Niles is getting on the pot train.
Michiana's
Going
news
to
channel.
get
Would you
some
like to
pot
talk to Casey?
train. Now remember, it's marijuana. No, moving on.
No, sir, we're moving
Marijuana
on from that topic.
in
We will
Michigan.
Calls Friday at 5 o'clock during open lines. You can take the call then. I don't know.
We'll see if I take calls on Friday. Depends on how
All
I
right. Thank you
feel.
very much, sir.
Will be my last day.
My job.
Well, and they want to, I'll talk about that. And then what they're going to do is they're going to come on and go right back to the previous thing. I'm going to get another refill of hot water.
Why don't they not kill you?
On Wall Street, the Dow closing down 121 points, the Nasdaq shedding 27, and the S&P 500 losing 9. America is listening to Fox News. Weather sponsored by.
Cool off from the summer heat. Cut it for crisp salads and fresh fruit plates.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals for void forecasts.
Clearing skies as we head throughout the rest of today with temperatures warming up to 78 degrees. We do have a chance for an isolated shower, but most will stay dry. Tonight we drop down to 56 underneath those clear skies, and then for Wednesday, mostly sunny, a high of 74, just a little bit breezy. In the ABC 57, First Morning Neighborhood
What?
Center, meteorologist Kennedy.
I keep looking at me like that.
What? You.
I look because you went what right as you walked in.
No. I said it because you looked at me.
Because someone walked in the studio like no
Why?
freaking
Well,
studio.
you just assume it's going to be me.
Why? Yeah, and I do that and it's someone else and I freak out.
Well, that's not my problem.
Well, then I'm going to look at
I
whoever
had,
walks into the studio.
these are so soundproof. Taylor snuck up on me when I was sitting in this chair. Nobody sneaks up on me. I'm the guy who does the sneaking. So I was engrossed in research. When she walked into that door, walked all the way over here and had to tap me on the shoulder. I didn't hear her.
Maybe hot summer.
Bum, 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 bum. You think you're funny. Did you just make a sexist joke? You did. You made a sexist joke. That's the second one in a week, man.
Did not make a sense.
I'm rubbing off on this kid.
All I said was they said hot summer and I went hot girl summer.
Mm-hmm. That's a sexist joke.
How's that a sexist joke?
You are deluding women down into their physical form. Shame on you. It's some microaggression. My God. You guys are really active on chat this week. Every time I look during a commercial break, it just takes like 10 minutes for the stupid... I know it's not actually 10 minutes. It feels like 10 minutes for the stupid chat to load up. I got Al and Alex fighting over the bag of coffee. Contest is going to look as rigged as the DNC when we win, Al, but they will get over it. Nice. That was good. That is good.
Do you want to learn to speak a new language but don't have enough time? Then you need to try Babbel, the language learning app that you can get for free right now at babbel.com.
Hey, word to the wise, everybody. Don't, if you're a pasty white woman, don't call your black male co-host a gorilla. Don't do that. That's kind of like career suicide.
This message is for all those stream-happy, data-loving smartphone junkies out there.
Those darn junkies.
We're not talking about you. We're talking about the generation that brought you into this world. That's right. If you've ever raised a pet rock, rocked an 8-track, or lit a lava lamp, then you'll want to hear this. Introducing Unlimited 55, only from T-Mobile. If you're 55 or older, you can get 2 lines of unlimited everything for just $70 a month with AutoPay. That's right, 2 unlimited lines, just $70. All fees included. So go ahead, embarrass your kids with another baby pic on Facebook, or crank your playlist to 11, because T-Mobile's got you covered. Don't settle for wireless plans that are all talk. Join us today and see for yourself why T-Mobile is America's most loved brand in wireless. Are you with us?
Customers using more than 50 gig per month may notice reduced speeds due to prioritization. Video at 480p, unlimited while on our network. In Cincinnati, that's 6835 rate plan plus 165 taxes and fees. In Louisville, that's 6727 rate plan plus 273 taxes and fees. In Indiana, that's 6759 rate plan plus 241 taxes and fees. See in-store materials for specifics. Qualifying credit required.
I'm getting in my shots before vacation. Been a lot of interesting things happening.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range. Don't forget, they have 10 dedicated shooting lanes for rifles and pistols indoors. You can get out of the weather. So if it's raining outside, you don't want to get all soaking wet. If it's hot, you don't want to get too hot. If it's cold, you don't have to worry about that. It's all indoors. Go to secondamendmentarms.net and mention me, and you get half off your range time. You get 10% off your products in the store, and you get listener-exclusive discounts on firearms. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. All right. What do we have here? I have talked about STEM quite a bit. And STEM, by the way, I love STEM. And STEM is extremely important. And I wish that we had focused on, science and tech and engineering and math. I wish that we had focused on that a lot sooner as a nation. I really do. We got behind the curve there for a while in dealing with it. And I think we just devoted way too much time telling students that they weren't going to have a calculator in their pocket when they got older. Because think of all of the time, people like Joe won't really recognize that, but people, my age and older will recognize how much time and energy was devoted into telling kids you will not have a calculator with you all the time when you're an adult. Did you hear that? Did they make you use the Texas Instruments thing? I remember doing a story several years ago that something was happening with Texas Instruments. They still make stuff, or are they out of business? Yeah. They still make stuff? Do they make calculators, or they moved on to things that are not archaic? They still make calculators. Okay, graphic calculators. All right. So, okay. They should be the next Nokia of smartphones, I feel. Like, they should just come out with a smartphone that is just totally dedicated to a math geek. That's what I think. They can call it STEM. So anyway, for those of you who do not know, we have been focusing on getting women in STEM. It has been a source of societal angst for many years now. That we have to get women into STEM because STEM discriminates against women, because women don't go into these fields, and STEM is dominated by men. However, what the actual facts say is if you take engineering out of all of the STEM fields, so you just take engineering out, women dominate STEM. There are far more women in STEM than there are men, okay, or girls, whatever, females, males. So anyway, after decades of being told women weren't choosing to go into science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM jobs, because they preferred other fields, but because they were discriminated against by misogynists, a new study finds that men are now the ones being discriminated against. This is Ash Show over at the Daily Wire, my favorite columnist. So anyway, the Los Angeles Times reported on Tuesday that female-only science programs may run afoul of Title IX. Yeah, you think? Now, of course, nobody's ever cared about any of this before. Remember, women are allowed to have women-exclusive stuff. Men are not allowed to have men-exclusive stuff. Men-exclusive stuff is sexist. Women-exclusive stuff is empowering, right? And by the way, I don't care if there's women-only things. I really don't care. I used to do the pest control for Curves. And I would ask, the owners, because they were franchised out. I don't even know if they still have Curves anymore. That was a ladies only type gym. But I remember asking the owner, like, as a guy, can I come in here? And she goes, no. And I said, it's not one of those things where it's like discouraged and you cater to women, but I could still come if I wanted to, but you're actually flat out telling me no. She goes, no, you're not allowed in. You're a guy. This is for women. And I looked at her and it's like, interesting. And she says, what? I was like, you're not allowed to have men-only gyms. And she kind of stopped. And she didn't really know what to say to that. This is before the whole political correctness thing was really a thing. Back then it just kind of happened and, men don't care. So they don't gripe about it. But it's interesting. Now, you do have some golf clubs and things like that are still, men only, but feminists protest those things. And it's just, it's very interesting how this all works. But anyway. So in STEM, there's actually more women if you don't include engineering, but men dominate engineering. And because engineering is such a large field, it throws the ratios out of whack. So now a new study shows that men are being discriminated against in STEM fields, whereas women are not being. The Los Angeles Times reported on Tuesday the female-only science programs may run afoul of Title IX, the federal statute that prohibits discrimination based on gender. Like I said, this has never really mattered before. A study released that same day from Stop Abusive and Violent Environments, SAVE, an organization that works to secure due process rights for students accused of sexual misconduct. The group is now working on a project that challenges the abundance of single-gender programs in higher education, most of which benefit only women. See, a lot of people ask me, why do they always make women and certain protected classes the victims here, especially on college campuses? Well, really, it's money. But let's look at it this way. You manufacture a problem that women are being discriminated against in STEM. They are not. But you manufacture that problem. And then what you do is you go, we have to fix this. We have to right the wrong. So to right the wrong, because women have already been discriminated against, we're going to create women-only things in order to compensate for the anti-women thing over there. They do this with other protected classes as well. It's not just on college campuses. They kind of do it everywhere. And then what everybody says is, well, because, it's been so rough for them over there, maybe they should have their own space. That way they can actually thrive. And they kind of let it go without actually looking at the data. A new study released Tuesday again found that 84% of about 220 universities offer single-gender scholarships, many of them in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math. The practice is permitted under Title IX only if the overall effect of the scholarship is equitable. The study by a Maryland-based nonprofit advocating gender equity on college campuses showed the majority of campus awards lopsidedly benefited women. Yeah, but to what degree? We'll talk about that next on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Dig the skirt. I judge meteorologists by their clothing. She wore a weird set of pants the other day, but she's made up for it with a nice skirt. So
Clearing skies as we head throughout the day with temperatures warming up to 78 degrees. We do have a chance for an isolated shower or two. Most will stay dry through the rest of today. Dropped down to 56 underneath those clear skies.
I was going to be on vacation when I'm on vacation. Nice. Glad I could help.
Now, it will be a little bit windy, so not the best beach days. High wave actions are expected along the Lake Michigan shoreline. For Thursday, we'll reach a high of 78 degrees.
What amazing point did I make?
Thursday night, we'll have a chance for a few showers. We'll dry up for Friday, but temperatures will be left much cooler, only a high of 73 degrees with partly cloudy skies. In the ABC 7 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Kennedy.
95.3 MNC welcomes The Wall That Heals to Michiana. The Wall That Heals is a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
Oh, yeah, show your work. Oh, yeah, all the way back to the calculator thing, yeah.
The Wall That Heals, honoring more than 3 million Americans who served in the Vietnam War and bearing the names of more than 58,000 men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. The Wall That Heals, September 19th through the 22nd at St. Joseph Funeral Home and Cemetery in South Bend.
Hey everyone, listen up.
Yeah, it does. Because it's solid here, it does kind of look like I'm wearing it, like, I don't know, is that a do-rag on my head? Like, can you look straight on? Doesn't look like a ball cap. Skull cap, I guess what they would call them.
This is a great opportunity for newer riders and those wanting to learn how to ride. The course is intended to help you learn the mental skills and gain the physical skills for safe motorcycling. I'll kick off the course with a meet and greet, and you'll spend 2 days learning on the bikes. The bikes are provided in students.
There are curves here, huh? Really? Interesting.
Motorcycle has worked with a bait to add this course to the schedule. Don't waste.
Technically, you're on vacation 24/7 now. Yeah, technically.
To reserve your spot, you can text ABATE to 45364 and follow the prompts. Again, that's ABATE. Text
Hello.
45364 or visit 953mnc.com.
A little bit over an hour to go.
This is Dwayne
Yay.
Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast and for a fair price, call me at 574-294.
I got to put a hole in this and then put an eyelet in there so I can strap it to my carabiner. I don't like saying carabiner. I hate saying that word. So the carabiner that I'll have on my pants to be able to hold my hat while I ride my bike.
I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy
Now, see, your dress is awful.
Do you own a house that is trash?
You should be ashamed of her. Yeah, she should be ashamed of herself for wearing that. She does. She looks like a damn ref. There's a TI-83 Plus emulator that you can use. It's just the calculator on your laptop. I used that for 4 years. Funny. About every city around here has the curves. All right, B-dubs, why do you know that about every city around here has curves? What are you doing, man? Why you? I've seen you, dude. You're not a chick. So what's the obsession with curves? I haven't seen one since I've been here, and I haven't seen any advertisements for them, so I didn't know if they were still around or not.
We mixed up some jambalaya for a Mardi Gras fundraiser. We made cilantro, rice, and beans for a quinceañera, and pulled together an authentic Irish...
I have never had a farmhouse Crown Valley lager. That's a new one for me. I have not had that. Ever since the L Underground stopped, I have had dramatically less beer. So, but I'm down to try it.
Corporate events, holiday parties, reunions, celebrations of life, and private parties of all types.
It must have been a good commercial. That Applebee's commercial made the food look good. And I know better. So, that or I'm really hungry. The food in that Applebee's commercial looked glorious. But like I said, I know better. All right, here we go. Hey, can you Gen Zers and millennials just like let Applebee's go? Can you do that for me? You don't need to keep them around.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Our next Pass the Mic with yours truly is set for 12 noon this Friday at Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill. I'm going to cover some of the hottest topics around, including the 2020 campaign, Trump, other stuff, local topics, all of that stuff. I will try and have some sound bites and things like that for you. I got a new Bluetooth speaker I'm going to bring with me to play audio from, so that way you can hear it better. And I'm going to have a special guest. My doctor from Thrive DPC is going to be there. She's going to talk about direct primary care. What is it? All of your questions that you ask me, she can answer. Okay. A lot of you ask me about my doctor, my health plan, where it comes from, what it does, what is included, what is not included. Where did this idea come from? Is it the wave of the future? All of that stuff. So she will be there to answer those questions about that. So that will be this Friday at Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill. Of course, there's a specially priced 95.3 MNC menu with some of my favorite dishes. So pass the mic with yours truly, 12 noon this Friday, Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill from 95.3 MNC. I look forward to seeing you there. I've also shared the event on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Casey the host. All right. A new study. This is in the LA Times. It's being covered by Ash Show in the Daily Wire. A new study shows that men are being discriminated against in STEM fields. In California alone, the study found that 11 colleges and universities reviewed by SAVE, that's the organization that we're talking about here, provided 11 scholarships for women only and just 4 scholarships just for men. The pendulum has swung too far in the other direction, SAVE President Edward Bartlett told the LA Times. We're not a society based on quotas, we're a society based on fairness. Now, this is the thing that's always kind of gotten me. You know, it's okay if you see that something, whether by design or just by natural process, happens to be excluding a group of people. It's okay to offer a correction to that, all right? But what you should be doing is offering equitable terms for everybody. I'll give you a perfect example. There are scholarships out there for people who just happen to be of a certain racial demographic, okay? And those scholarships, I'm okay with those scholarships existing. Where things get hairy is when at those schools, somebody offers a scholarship for a pasty white guy. Then everybody gets bent out of shape and says, well, you can't offer scholarships for a pasty white guy. Well, you offer a scholarship for literally every other guy and gal. Why can't you do it for white people too? And they go, well, that's racist. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Okay? I got news for you. There's a lot of poor white people in the country. There's more poor white people in the United States than there are poor minorities, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe not as a cluster, but as individual demographics. There's more poor whites than poor blacks. There's more poor whites than poor Hispanics. There's more poor whites than poor Arabs, Persians, Asians, what have you. Okay? So there's a lot of poor white people, and they need help when they go to school. And there's nothing wrong with offering them a scholarship based on the color of their skin. If you're going to tell me there's nothing wrong with offering a scholarship for people of other racial groups simply because of the color of their skin, I am okay with those scholarships. I don't have a problem with a group that advocates on behalf of a demographic, therefore offering some kind of a scholarship to help that demographic. I think that's a good thing. But when you exclude a certain group of people from it, we're starting to run into problems. Now, this is obviously not exactly what they're talking about in this LA Times STEM piece, but it does happen. We are at a point in our society where we're supposed to say everybody has these opportunities now and it's all equal. Instead, what we're doing is we're saying this group over here is bad. Sometimes that group is men. Sometimes that group is whites. Sometimes that group is a certain religious group, that sort of thing. But we're saying that they're bad and they need to be throttled while everybody else needs to be propped up. Instead of just saying they have some advantages, whether it's designed that way or it just naturally happens, can we just level the playing field? So instead of doing the level playing field thing, what we do is we throttle one and then we give preferential treatment to the other. And you're not supposed to be giving preferential treatment to anybody. You're supposed to be creating a fair and equitable system. And they're not. That's the problem. I love women in STEM. I think if women want to go into STEM fields, I think they should. I know a lot of women that are in STEM fields and they thrive. They do amazing work. But if they don't want to go, don't force them to go into the field. And don't hurt men by making STEM a priority for women. Just make sure that women have all of the access to it that they can. And don't get really upset and proclaim some false discrimination if they decide that they want to go into a different field for whatever reason, whether it's just not, interesting to them, they don't like the hours that are involved in it. I got news for you. Engineers spend a lot of time at work. There's an old joke that that I just heard from somebody. Did I hear from you about the architecture program? Were you talking? Who was I talking to about that? I was talking to somebody about being an architect, and that there is a joke that if you go to architect school, you have to have a cot because you never leave the campus. And by the campus, I mean you never leave the architecture building. You're there all the time because you're busting your hump. There are people out there who don't want to work those hours. Okay. That's great. I wish I could turn my brain off and be lazy. I can't. Okay. When I do for a couple of hours, usually late at night, I feel guilty about it. So there are just some people that are wired a little bit differently. There are others who want a relaxing existence. They want to be able to go to work. They want to have a good time at work. They want to get along with their coworkers. They want to make enough money to get by, and they want to have their free time. And that's great, by the way. You need those people too. Otherwise, we're just going to kill ourselves, working ourselves to death. So you need the worker bees, and you need the people who are a little bit more balanced. You need all of that. Let's see. A report from American Enterprise scholar and economics professor Mark Perry created a report last November that showed that women now make up over half of all STEM graduate school enrollees in the United States. They also earned more than half of all science and engineering bachelor's degrees between 2004 and 2014, meaning women now are the preferred gender in STEM. They do better than men. Okay. So all of the stuff that has been done to push women into STEM, that can kind of stop now. They have the advantage. So now you can stop giving them preferential treatment, or you need to start balancing their preferential treatment by giving some of the men a little bit extra push as well. Perry cautioned that the numbers depend on how one defines STEM. He included health and medical sciences in his definition in order to reveal that 50.6% of STEM grads in 2017 are women. There's other studies that show that the vast majority of STEM enrollees, if you take engineering out, are women, which means they dominate the vast majority of STEM fields, with the exception of engineering. And engineering is undoubtedly dominated by men for a whole host of reasons. And only women can tell you why they don't become engineers if they choose not to. So it's just this notion that for some reason, if it's not an equal number of different groups in a particular field, that it must be because of discrimination. That's not the case. But they have been pushing preferential treatment of women in STEM for a number of years now. Well, now women dominate STEM. So you either have to stop the preferential treatment, or you have to balance that with additional preferential treatment that benefits men as well, if you really are interested in equity. But I don't think they really are. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
WTRC FM and HD1, Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
Some place called American Table is being featured on the news. For what reason, I don't know. Is it a new restaurant? Oh, no, it's talking about traffic. Oh, improvements to the road. Okay, never mind. Never heard of the restaurant before, so I thought maybe it was new.
To settle more than 2,000 lawsuits. Now Purdue says in a statement that while they are prepared to defend the company vigorously, they see little good coming from years of litigation and appeals. Purdue makes the painkiller OxyContin. In the case of Johnson & Johnson, a judge in Oklahoma said the company engaged in false and dangerous marketing.
If you want to sue Johnson & Johnson, sue them for the tier-free claim, okay? If you're going to sue them for anything, that's what you should sue them for. What's up, Finn?
Sexually abusing them, speaking out today at a hearing on the dead millionaire sex trafficking case in a New York federal courtroom. Fox's Brian Yennis.
For some of these women, it was the first time they spoke publicly about their abuse and the first time they met other accusers. Now, though these women were robbed of the chance to face Epstein one-on-one in...
Well, I would love to try some of that farmhouse, Rhonda. One day, maybe I'll get some. What's up, Bert? How you doing? Burp on the Twitch.
What do I want to talk about right now? The thing is, like, there's a lot of news. It's just wonky news. And not very entertaining news. Ilhan Omar's campaign funded travel for the guy that she had an affair with. You can't do that. So it's yet another campaign finance violation for Ilhan Omar. What is that, 3 or 4 now? Ooh, Maddow's ratings fell again? That's not good. She doesn't have a lot of ratings left. Let's see how bad they are. The Rachel Maddow show placed 5th in cable news ratings this month. Youch! And beating her out, all Fox News programs. Hannity, Tucker, Ingram, and The Five. Dude. She averaged 2.327 million total viewers in August. 361,000 are in the 25 to 54 prime demo. They're down from July by about 150,000 people, ballpark. Hannity had 3.269 million viewers a night. He had 519,000 in the 25-54 demo. Carlson had 3.107 million with 500,000 in the targeted demo. So significantly more than her. I'm surprised she's still pulling 2 million, to be honest with you. It's supposed to be good weather tomorrow. Huh? Why do you say probably when the weather sucks so much outside right now? Why do you say that? Why do you give me false hope, dude? Oh, man. So, sunny for the next couple of days, partly cloudy on Friday. Saturday and Sunday, showers and thunderstorms. Guess what? You still ride at a bait. So, hopefully that changes a little bit. But you still do your motorcycle course at a bait. You still do that.
I turned to Goshen Center for Cancer Care, and right from the start, I knew I'd made the right choice. At Goshen, I have a whole team of specialists all under one roof. They work together to share knowledge and monitor my treatment, which gives me more options than I'd ever imagined.
Here, I have doctors who take time to answer my questions and get to know my family.
Thank you.
Naturopathic medicine and counseling.
Since when does anybody want to talk to you? What's going on over there?
And financial counselors who work with my
Is it your drug dealer?
help me find resources like copay assistance for my
Is it your customer?
No. I have personalized care and the attention of an entire team.
Because they're not just focused on treating cancer, they're focused on treating me.
Andrew Yang is more popular than Pete Buttigieg in voters under 30, according to an Emerson poll.
Summer's ending, and savings are back in business for
Emerson.
Labor Day sale. Small business
Oh, Andrew Yang.
up to 40%.
He's the guy that wants the universal basic income. He's the Asian who likes math. He's that guy. But he's bad at it. Anyway.
Technology advisors are called. They can help you find just the right tech for your business with Labor Day savings. Visit Dell.com/business deals or call 877.
Well, I think he says that he's the opposite of Trump is an Asian. Oh, Asian who likes math, or an Asian who's good at math. I forget how he said it. Okay. Well, he likes it, but he's not good at it.
His motorcycle.
Hey, check out that view!
His motorcycle.
Let's do puzzles in the break room.
Look at all that open road!
Conspiracy theorists believe that Apple founder Steve Jobs is still alive, and there is a photo. Should I look at it? Okay. It's a waste of my damn time, but okay. I'm going to look at it. I'm not blaming you. I'm going to look at the stupid conspiracy photo. Because you wanted me to.
Line 3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Is there really any other thing that you need to prove that Apple fanboys are a cult? I mean, I didn't think that we needed more evidence, but honestly, apparently there is a conspiracy that Steve Jobs is still alive. I know there's a conspiracy for everything, but did you see how sick he was the last couple of years of his life? Anyway, so they're saying that there's a photo of all of this. And photo's not loading. Whatever. Steve Jobs is dead. 574-25-95-95-3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. And I do want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range. Don't forget, the Advanced Handgun course is happening on the 31st of August. So you are running out of time. Go to secondamendmentarms.net, get contact information, register for that class. The Department of Homeland Security has reprogrammed $271 million in department funding for immigration enforcement, including $155 million from FEMA disaster relief. This is not unusual, and it is not alarming, and nobody needs to have a conniption fit about it, even though several will. This just broke here recently. So people are going to hop on to social media and once again lie about FEMA funding and all of that other stuff. $116 million in funding will support additional immigrations and customs enforcement beds for detained migrants and transportation of migrants from Border Patrol facilities to ICE detention centers. So, much to the chagrin of Wayfair employees, ICE is going to buy some beds for the brown people to sleep on. Remember, the Wayfair employees were really upset that Wayfair was selling beds to ICE when ICE was like, we have too many people. We need beds for them to sleep on, so they're not sleeping on the floor. That's awful. We don't want them sleeping on the floor. We want them in beds. So Wayfair said, okay, we'll give you a good deal on beds. And then Wayfair employees said, no, we don't want to help the people who are coming from south of the border. We want them to sleep on the concrete. We don't want them to be on the beds. And they walked out of their jobs. Remember that? Another $155 million will go towards Migrant Protection Protocol. That's the MPP hearings that we talked about earlier. Again, about 22% in the month of July. About 22% of the people with the Migrant Protection Protocol hearings were actually sent to Mexico in order to wait their hearing. They're not released in the United States. So those numbers keep going up. That's good. One, that means that the shift in where they get to stay, if they want to actually go ahead and have these immigration hearings, that has now shifted part of that burden to Mexico. Mexico is cooperating with this. And what we ended up finding out is that a lot of the migrants who can't get into the United States illegally and easily are choosing to take the program that is funded by the U.S. government, but is run by the United Nations. They're choosing to take those planes home free of charge and go back to their homeland. What else do we have here? They explained that policy, but we already covered that earlier in the show today. This realignment of resources allows DHS to address ongoing border emergency crises by alleviating the surge along the nation's southwest border while minimizing the risk of overall DHS mission performance. That is according to Homeland Security in a statement. The unnamed DHS official told It's Not News at CNN, in this case, this is a must-pay bill that needed to be addressed. The Department of Homeland Security informed Congress of its intent to shift the funding on Sunday, citing its authority to reprogram money under the DHS Appropriations Act of 2019. No funding will be reprogrammed from U.S. Secret Service or the Office of the Inspector General or the Office of Intelligence and Analysis, according to the CNN report. DHS previously moved $10 million in FEMA funds to ICE last year, prompting pushback from Democratic lawmakers who didn't know what in the world they were talking about or did know and just lied to everybody. We debunked a lot of the talking points on that. Like I said, this just broke here a few minutes ago. Be prepared for people to misstate what the FEMA funds being reallocated means, okay? Of course, this is happening right as the time there's a tropical storm out there and an unusually quiet hurricane season. So there's going to be an extra bunch of people who lose their minds over this. And then there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to tell you to send it to the Amazon. I'm going to get to the Amazon story. For those of you who've been in your cubicles all day, I'm going to get to the Amazon bit in a minute because everything you're hearing about the Amazon being on fire is a lie. Okay, so we'll get to that. Let's see. I don't need to give you the history lesson on all of this stuff. So that was Amber Athey on the Daily Caller. So don't be surprised if the collective pearl clutchers go out there and start having an absolute freak out over all of this, even though it's really not unusual. It's well within the power of the Department of Homeland Security, and it's not going to affect FEMA's ability to do their job. Don't worry about it, okay? But people will, again, go out there and try to make that case. I didn't get to this a few days ago. When did this happen? Maybe the 21st? Was it really that long ago? That sucks. Okay. I talked about it on the live stream. I didn't talk about it on the show. The president's not getting as much credit, if you ask me, for doing something pretty awesome. So he signed an executive order a little while ago, about a week ago, that forgives all student loan debt for any permanently disabled U.S. military veteran. Now, as many of you know, over the years, everybody that I get who's a member of Congress into this studio, I ask them a very simple question. Would you introduce a piece of legislation that makes all military pay tax-free? I have expanded that many times to include first responders. I have had a lot of lip service. Nobody that I'm aware of has actually done that I've talked to, although there was one member of Congress, God, was it a decade ago? In another state who did make that recommendation that active duty military pay was going to be tax-free. I have been advocating for that for some time, not in any serious or full-time capacity or with powerful lobbying dollars or anything of that nature. It's just that when I get members of Congress in, it's one of those things that I ask them. It will be something that I ask members of Congress that I speak to when I'm in Washington, D.C. in late September. So President Trump signed an executive order that forgives all student loan debt for any permanently disabled U.S. military veterans. The order which Trump signed following a speech to the American Veterans National Convention in Kentucky, also clears those eligible veterans from having to pay any federal income taxes on those loans. He added that he is pressuring individual states to follow suit, again, because there's state taxes associated with some of that stuff. The debt of these disabled veterans will be completely erased, he said. That's hundreds of millions of dollars of student loan debt for our disabled veterans that will be completely erased. The memo that Trump signed directs the government to develop an expedited process to veterans so they can have their federal student loan debt discharged with minimal burdens. Currently, just half of the roughly 50,000 disabled veterans who are qualified to have their federal student loan debt forgiven have received the benefit because of a burdensome application process. Under the new process, or should say under the current process, disabled veterans can have their debt forgiven under a loan forgiveness program called Total and Permanent Disability Discharge, or TPD, as long as they have a VA service-connected disability rating of 100%. As of July, however, only about 20% of the eligible pool of veterans had taken advantage of the program due to the complicated nature of the application and other factors. Trump's announcement is supposed to make that easier. All right. So hopefully that ends up being the case. We'll, of course, keep following it. And you veterans out there who qualify for this will certainly let me know if it is working as it is stated. In the meantime, continue to pay your bills as you're supposed to and wait for the program to kind of kick in. Do what you can to go ahead and get on that program, have your student loan debt forgiven. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Oh, that felt good. Damn. Yummers. You know what I need? I need bacon. That's what I need. I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a crap ton of bacon. So today I had sausage, which was also yummy. But yesterday I tried to have my bacon hashtag that I make. and my 2-year-old had me doing something and it overcooked. So it wasn't good overcooked bacon. It was burnt overcooked bacon. So it wasn't as pleasant going down as it usually is. And yes, I ate it because I'm a man and I don't waste bacon. So I would start thinking about questions that you might have for my doctor for Friday at Pass the Mic. You know, questions beyond the normal stuff, like how much does it cost, what does it cover, you know, that sort of thing. I would start thinking about questions beyond that because you've got her right there front and center. You might as well ask. You know what I mean? There's not that many doctors in the area that do direct primary care. So it's a perfect opportunity for you to learn, because then you can go spread the word to other people, and eventually we can get rid of the stupid insurance system that we have.
Ahead of the game with a professional assessment that grows into a full-scale preventative maintenance schedule. Using advanced tools like thermal imaging cameras can help us identify issues that haven't even popped up yet. We even provide 24-hour emergency service. Ask yourself, has my business grown beyond our current resources? Are we pushing our electrical setup too hard, running the risk of shutdowns? Does the lighting in my facility create a safe working environment for my staff? One call does it all. 574-522-4444.
It was just excessively burnt. I like my bacon solid, but it was excessive. So. Yeah, I mean, shoot me some questions that you have about it, and I will do what I can to ask them. Ask them, I should say.
That's right. If you've ever raised a pet rock, rocked an 8-track, or lit a lava lamp, then you'll want to hear this. Introducing Unlimited 55, only from T-Mobile. If you're 55 or older, you can get 2 lines of unlimited everything for just $70 a month with AutoPay. That's right, 2 unlimited lines, just $70, all fees included. So go ahead, embarrass your kids with another baby pic on Facebook, or crank your playlist to 11, because T-Mobile's got you covered. Don't settle for wireless plans that are
Casey, Steve Jobs' head was removed and placed in a cryogenic stasis before he died. A clone head was used for the funeral. Let's start the conspiracy. Well, doesn't Futurama have Steve Jobs' head in it? I'm pretty sure that they do. My son is a STEM student who just started at Purdue. There were very few scholarships available for white males, but a lot for women and other races. We ended up having to foot the entire bill. Ouch. The Prime Table ad is just plain creepy. I didn't have anything to do with it, but they have good food and they're good people, so go eat there. Let's see. And what else do we have? Damn right. See? Finally people are on it. They know that I'm not supposed to check my email.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number, 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. Okay. Sorry, excuse me. Jeez. I literally got no sleep last night, so I apologize about yawning right in your face. But just know I feel bad about it. The U.S. and Japan have this new trade deal. Now, this is kind of cool. You ever notice every time there is a problem with trade with Trump, like the next day there's a fix and a remedy? Do you notice that? So you've got this thing which is really going to help with meat. So U.S. and Japan are going to sign this trade deal, and it cuts meat tariffs by 80%. So the United States and Japan concluded trade pact negotiations on August 24th. They will slash Japanese tariffs on U.S. meat imports by about 80% and leave unchanged low U.S. auto import tariffs. Japanese negotiators agreed to give the Trump administration the same tariff reductions on meat imports envisioned under the proposed 12-nation Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. President Trump withdrew from the deal in January because the deal was stupid. There were elements of it that were positive, don't get me wrong, but there was a whole lot of bad that was in it. Complaining that the 5,600-page multilateral deal negotiated by his predecessor would encourage more offshoring of American jobs and undercutting of U.S. worker wages. That wasn't my primary issue with it, but I've already covered that ad nauseum. Go back and listen to those old podcasts. The new bilateral deal that is expected to be signed next month will slash Japanese tariffs on imported U.S. meats in a series of steps, with the 38.5% tariff on beef plunging to just 9%. The 4.3% tariff on higher grade pork dropping to zero tariffs on pork now, and the 4.58 per kilogram. Okay, $4.58 per kilogram tariff on low grade pork has been reduced to just 47 cents per kilogram. Those are pretty steep cuts. Japan is the fourth largest market for U.S. agriculture with $12.9 billion of U.S. imports, but it has used multiple tariff and non-tariff barriers to limit the growth of American ag imports for decades, according to the Congressional Research Service. So Trump had been threatening to intervene in currency markets to weaken the U.S. dollar in an effort to make American exports more competitive, but the Japanese have strengthened the yen by about 9% to the dollar since Trump took office in 2019. So the Trump administration basically said, we've got to have an end to this. And he proclaimed that imports of motor vehicles and auto parts posed a national security threat. He directed the U.S. Trade Representative to resolve the issue with Japan and the European Union. I talked about some of the really interesting tariffs that they were looking at putting on German automakers that really freaked BMW out. Japan is America's fourth largest trading partner, fourth largest U.S. investment partner, and second largest foreign holder of U.S. government debt. In 2018, U.S. exports to Japan totaled $121.1 billion, $75.7 billion in goods, $45.4 billion in services. U.S. imports from Japan totaled $179.1 billion. So we import about $50 billion more than they do. But we're also a bigger country. I always have to point that out to people. And this is, like I said, this is pretty good. So every time something weird happens with ag in particular, like you remember, there was something that was happening with, it was like rice or something that happened at some point in time. Soy was another thing that when it stopped doing its thing with China, like Australia was like, no, give it to us. It's like every time something like that happens, I don't know if it's an ace in the hole. I don't know if he has these things already set up before he makes a move against China and trade. I don't know, but it just always seems to work out for the guy. But this is obviously big. Really steep cuts in meat tariffs with Japan, who has been notoriously protectionist about their meat industry over there. Except when they had that disease a while back, they were importing a lot more of American goods than was typical. But so again, good news. We also have a lawsuit involves the Pledge of Allegiance. A Santa Barbara City College academic who had some activists attempt to intimidate them by heckling and booing when she spoke out against the school board's ban on reciting the pledge during meetings, is now suing California schools for denying her free speech rights. Adjunct professor Celeste Barber, who is not the comedian, by the way, is a professor, said that an angry mob whose conduct that she claims was condoned by the campus administration tried to silence her while she made comments at college board of trustee meetings in January. While it was happening, I was terrified. She's an English instructor, retired from the college in 2015 after 20 years of service. I could hear the shouting and foot stomping. I was frightened. Mine was very civil, a civil statement. I didn't expect much backlash. I was stunned. And the reason she didn't expect much backlash is because she's not an insano who doesn't think that the Pledge of Allegiance is offensive, because it's not offensive. It's only offensive to crazy people. So she didn't expect the crazy people to have the reaction that they had. She probably should have known better, considering that she was a professor for 20 years. But I don't know. Something in her brain still says Pledge of Allegiance is not offensive. The SBCC board president, Robert Miller, had emailed Barber days before the public meeting saying that the pledge was banned because it contains the phrase "one nation under God" and because it is steeped in expressions of nativism and white nationalism. Huh? Maybe nativism, but white nationalism? I don't know. Around the same time, Miller told TV station KSBY expressions for support of the Pledge of Allegiance in 1890 sound eerily similar to the ugly, racist, anti-immigrant expressions that we hear today. So, the SBCC board president, Robert Miller, is dumb. Anyway, she told she appeared on Fox News Channel on January 30th. She told the show that there is nothing white nationalist about the Pledge of Allegiance, which anybody with more than one brain cell knows. There's no reference to race, to gender, to ethnicity. It's all inclusive. That's why school children around the country, thousands of them, recite it every day because it includes everybody who lives in the country, also known as DUH. So anyway, she's now filed a lawsuit, which was filed on August 19th in the county of Santa Barbara. So this is in the Superior Court of California. She named Santa Barbara Community College District Board of Trustees, Professor Rayanne Napoleon, and two other individuals as defendants. Can you be a social justice warrior and have the name Napoleon? I don't know that you can. Aren't you automatically excluded because your name harkens back to such bigotry and oppression? Although Napoleon wasn't nearly as bad as people thought he was, but I digress. The attorneys that she hired said in a statement that Barber hired them after the college ignored a state law called the Brown Act by allowing a heckler to veto Professor Rayanne Napoleon, who is shouting down Celeste Barber. Okay, so apparently California's Brown Act, and I don't know much about it, but apparently this says that you can't allow a heckler to take away somebody's free speech. So if there's a heckler, that's fine, but you've got to do your due diligence to get the heckler out of the way so that way you can continue to speak. And they didn't do that, and because they didn't do that, her rights were actually violated. Now, this is really interesting considering universities like Berkeley are in the People's Republic of California, and they're routinely banning conservative speakers there. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of shakes out, because I could see a lot of conservative and libertarian speakers who go to California maybe potentially using this to have leverage against universities who are trying to censor their speech and allow these protesters to get in the room and harass the speaker. Remember, there was that whole period of time where they were doing the pie thing. They were throwing pies at people's face. Everybody talks about milkshakes now because everybody's being milkshaked, but nobody remembers the pies. You remember, I think the only person to dodge a pie attack was Ann Coulter. You remember that? She's in her high heels and somebody jumped on stage and tried to throw a pie at her, and she did a juke move and the person missed. So I'm going to have to ask her about that when I'm in DC in September. She's supposed to be there too. I haven't talked to Ann in a couple of years. It's by the way, can I just say this? I don't know why, just because I mentioned her, I guess. Ann Coulter obviously has a reputation for being aggressive. She's like the nicest person in the world. Isn't that weird? She is seriously one of the nicest people in the world. And some of the nicest people that you would see in public are some of the biggest bleeps that you would ever run into. But not Ann Coulter. She's genuinely one of the nicest people you will ever meet, whether you agree with her or not. She is super sweet and nice. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I'll be able to run into her when I'm at the Hold Their Feet to the Fire Festival. So that'll be pretty cool. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. And again, watch the live stream, youtube.com/KC the host, twitch.tv/KC the host. Everything you hear about the Amazon rainforest fire is a lie. We'll talk about that coming up on 95.3 MNC.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
Oh, I am so hungry. My lunch today was just a bag of beef jerky, and it was only 2.85 ounces. So, not nearly enough food. And I got here really early after I ate that because I had meetings. I'm running out of patience. Need food. Excuse me, damn. Can't get rid of these hiccups today. I blame the whiskey from last night, right? Whiskey makes you have hiccups, right? At least that's what the cartoons say. Did you grow up in a generation where they didn't drink and get drunk on cartoons? You never saw that, did you? That's sad. What a poor childhood. There you go. Stuff and things, ladies and gentlemen. Stuff and things. Like, my stomach is verbally yelling at me right now. It's audible. Joe can hear it. Yeah, I'll throw some selfies up, Happy. I'll do that. I just, we got, what, 90 speakers. We got 70 radio hosts that are going to be there. 90 potential guests on our show. Going to be broadcasting live from D.C. I think I have to take one day off because I'm traveling in during the show. But, no, Anne's great. I've known Anne since Vegas, and every time I run into her, I always have a good time. I'm going to be there with Lars. I don't know if Katz is going from Indianapolis. I hope he is. I have to look at the list. If he's there, then I can finally link up with him. We've been trying to link up for a couple of years now. Dude, jerky is, I seriously, I keep it with me all the time. And the Aldi store brand is really cheap. It's like $3.40, and it gives you 2.5 or 2.85 ounces. So it's like the same size as the other ones, but it's usually cheaper. And it really does get you through when you're at that little point there where you don't have any protein in you. Now, better beef jerky is more expensive. If you want to spend that, that's great. I'd love to be able to, but I can't all the time. So I usually get like one bag of good jerky. I'll go to like Redbeard or something like that, Carp. And then most of the time it's the cheap jerky. So we also just found out today, Alex, that there's going to be a ton of high-level Trump officials that are going to be there as well, but they don't have schedules locked down. So I'm hoping to get some pretty high-level Trump officials too. Dale, I love spicy food. I am from the Southwest. So, yeah, love it. I have hot sauce at home called Anal Angst. So, although I think a listener gave that to me. But it's good.
Visit Thursdays to check out Roman's ridiculous list, or upgrade your evenings Tuesdays through Saturdays with the atmosphere of Temper Grill, with a perfect backdrop for any
Buffalo One from Speedway. Didn't know about that. Okay, cool. Most jerky is, $5 to $7, and if you find jerky that's the same size for under $4, you're doing really good.
because life is too short and the food is too good to break bread in a bad mood. Temper Grill. Food.
Yeah, and, I didn't get to Talkers, and Katz is looking for me at Talkers, and we keep saying that we're going to link up at some point, and it just never happens. So if he's going to be there, I'm going to try and spend some time with him. I've got Lars who's going to be there and a bunch of other people I know too. So, there's probably going to be some big dinners with us and maybe some live streams and some selfies and some videos and all that stuff. I'm going to try and not be just the guy that goes and doesn't do anything extra other than his job. I'm going to try and actually do stuff for you guys while I'm there. You have Atomic Clown Killer if you're interested. You talking about a dab, or are you going to give me a bottle? And I don't want anything that's been opened. I don't trust you. Not that I don't trust you, but I don't trust you. Yeah, that's a good question, Robbie. What's the sugar in it?
Do you want to learn to speak a new
I only cheat on the weekends.
enough time? Then you need to try Babbel, a language learning app that you can try for free right now at babbel.com. Babbel lessons are just 15 minutes
Well,
and
he's not going to be able to avoid traditional media, but I think he's going to limit how much traditional media he does, and I think he's going to do a lot more alternative. And I think that his frustration with Fox News as of late would hint that even Fox might be, getting in trouble. So yeah, I could see Trump doing that.
Sole focus is the families and individuals we help every day. We're not here to just beat our chest about our experience and education. While that may be important, we're really here to discuss you.
Oh, it's jerky in a vacuum pack. Oh, okay, I thought it was a hot sauce. Sorry. My mistake. From Dublin General Store. Is that like an Irish importer?
Retirement pitfalls like inflation, healthcare emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. Let's get to work right now to get you on the road to financial confidence. 866-482-9559. We're here to talk about you.
I can't say what I'm thinking. Sorry, saw something really weird on TV.
Or just visit retirewithpurpose.com.
Oh, okay. Mackinac. I never want to take anything from listeners, but listeners always offer me stuff, and then it's rude to not accept it. So I'm not asking for handouts, but if you have something that you want to get in front of me, by all means, drop it off. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. Word that there is an accident in Elkhart County at the corner of State Road 20 and County Road 33 westbound. Traffic was backed up for 2 miles. So that sucks. Sorry if you're stuck in that. And let us know if there's any updates to that or any other traffic out there. 574-2595. 95.3. Don't forget to go to Second Amendment Arms and Range. Get some shooting time in. You get half off the range when you go and shoot out there. And if you don't want to go shoot at the range, no problem. Go pick up your ammo, your accessories, your holsters, your knives, and all of that stuff. Go to secondamendmentarms.net. That's their website. Get all their contact information. When you go into the store, mention me. You get half off the range time, 10% off the store, and you get listener exclusive discounts, which are separate from the other discounts on firearms. Okay. And in fact, those discounts are actually bigger than some of the other discounts, but I'm not going to tell you by how much. So they also have this gift card thing, which is a whole system that's internal where you don't have to worry about losing a gift certificate or a gift card again. You're in their system. So if somebody is to buy you like a gift certificate for Second Amendment Arms and Range, you're in the system. And then if you come in, they have you in the system and they can just deduct from your account right then and there. Pretty cool. All right. What do we have here? So the Amazon fires, okay? I went over this in the 3 o'clock hour. I feel that this is big enough for me to go over again. There's a couple of things that you have to understand. This is a common strategy in all sorts of news stories, all right? So you've got wildfires out west, okay? The wildfires out west are because of man-made global warming, and that's why they're so bad. Man's the reason that we did it. We got to do something to stop man from being so bad. And most of the time, they're really not. They're not caused by men. It does happen sometimes, but a lot of times they're naturally caused. And in the dry season, you're going to get those wildfires. But another thing that they do is they go, these have increased exponentially. And then you end up looking at the data and you find out that they haven't been increasing. They're actually at pretty average rates. They do this with guns. Mass shootings are on the rise. No, they're not. They're literally not on the rise. They have been at a consistent rate for decades. Criminologists have been saying this for many, many, many years. There is absolutely no data that shows an increase in mass shootings. On average, there's 22 per year. In 2019, right now, we're at 19. Which is less than the year before, which is less than the year before that, which is less than the year before that. And all of them are less than 2008. So again, too many of them happen, don't get me wrong, but for decades, it has remained relatively average. We just cover them differently now. So they push this narrative that things are getting worse, everything is bad, and it's not. You look at the hard data and you end up finding out that it's not true. There's a lot of fake news associated with this Amazon thing, and it's frankly disturbing. It's not surprising
But I also wanted a lot of you to hear about it, because when you look at what's been happening with the Amazon, people are freaked out, right? Everybody loves the rainforest. They may not like going to the rainforest because it tries to kill you, but there is very real things that people are just, they're drawn to with the rainforest. They know how beneficial it is. They know how important it is, obviously. And, you just don't like seeing something that awesome, burn. So when there's all of these stories about the rainforest is literally disappearing, you've got every celebrity you can think of running around and running their mouth about it and posting pictures of it. You've got the G7 getting involved, and you've got everybody demonizing Brazil, because remember, this is all because of Brazil. Well, yeah, turns out that the president of Brazil is demanding that the French president, Macron, apologize for lying about the Brazilian people. On August 27th, Brazil's president, Bolsonaro, rejected $22.2 million in an aid package from the G7 to help fight the fires raging through the Amazon rainforest. Except the fires aren't raging in the Amazon rainforest, and I'll get to that in just a minute. Because I know some of you are going, Casey, what in the world are you up to? How much tinfoil do you have on now? But if you hear the facts, you're going to start to understand it's not what you've been told, okay? The president of Brazil said that unless the French president, Macron, retracts some comments that he made and the president of Brazil regards as offensive, they would not accept the aid offer. Bolsonaro said that Macron has to take back some of his remarks, and then we can speak. And he went in to kind of, talk about some of it. I'm not going to go into great detail. I did in the 3 o'clock hour. If you want, go back and listen to the 3 o'clock hour in the podcast or on the live stream, and you will be able to hear some of that. Although I did have my audio messed up because a coworker did something extremely strange to my audio earlier in the day. And so the first segment of the show on the live stream is no audio, and I apologize about that. So now, the president of France, Macron, and several celebrities, including Leonardo DiCaprio, went out there and were posting a bunch of photos of the Amazon rainforest fire. The problem is that the photos are fake. They're not real. I should say, okay, let me rephrase that. They're real photos of real fires, just not what's happening in the Amazon now. And in fact, one of the photos, which is the most viral of them, that is the one that Macron sent out, was taken by a photographer who died in 2003. And if you can look at the photo, it's a good photo, don't get me wrong, but you can look at the photo and it clearly is not up to modern photography standards. But Macron went ahead and he sent it out. They're all using the exact same language. The lungs of our planet are burning. They keep using that. But when they're sharing these photos, because these aren't accurate photos, there's a bunch of people who see this and go, oh my God, the rainforest is on fire. Now, first of all, the rainforest catches on fire every single year. We're not even in peak fire season yet. That happens in mid to late September. Okay, so there are fires that happen in the Amazon on a regular basis every single year. And obviously, you don't want the Amazon to burn down, but fire is also a normal, natural, and healthy process for any forest. What the issue is that the fire reports about the Amazon have been completely distorted. It's not just the fake photos. There are fires. It's just that they're not in the rainforest. We'll talk about that next. So pay very close attention to what I'm going to tell you in the next segment, because I know that some of you are going, everybody tells me that the Amazon's on fire. It's not really true, though. I mean, it's partially true, but it's not nearly what they're saying. And there hasn't been an increase in fires in the Amazon. There hasn't been 72,000 fires in the Amazon, Leonardo DiCaprio. There has not been an 84% increase in fires in the Amazon this year. That has not happened, okay? That's all fake news. And I'm going to tell you what's really happening and why everybody's kind of confused about all of this in the next segment coming up on 95.3 MNC.
Bypass backups and toll road trouble. Find out before you're...
Thank you for the follow, Richard. Okay, my wife just sent me a message. I don't know what to make of it. All right.
Weather served up by the Prime Table Restaurant in Niles. Does your family or group meet regularly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
You have an Indian meat coming a little break.
How dare you? indigenous motorcycles. Should be ashamed of yourself. Jesus. All right. Indian. You know what? They never did give me a friggin' update on the abate class. I'm sure it's sold out. I saw enough people, but
95.3 MNC weather text alerts are new and improved, customized, and faster than ever. To stay connected, text weather to 455.
yep, they sold out the abate course. Okay.
The counties you care about and get word of severe weather the very moment the alert is issued. Minutes matter.
They sold my bike. Okay. So the abate course that I'm doing with listeners, right? So we're doing that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They originally weren't going to give me a bike because they wanted to sell the spot and they didn't have an extra bike. So then they said, no, we'll give him a bike. Let him come and do the class. And now they're telling me that they had so many people that they just sold my bike too. So they recommended that I bring my motorcycle to the course. Oh, man.
Everything is measured twice. Graver Customer Modeling works with higher-end vendors, materials, and craftsmen to complete truly custom projects. When you see your new addition in your mind and meet with the Graver team, you begin to see what custom really means. Whether you're restoring a 100-year-old farm,
That's funny.
creating your ultimate living space,
I hope the weather is better than is being predicted. I mean, again, you ride in the rain because you can ride in the rain. So they teach the class in the rain, too. That's so funny. They just decided to sell my bike. That's funny. Not my bike, but the bike that I was going to use in the abate course. Hysterical. Hmm? Oh, God. Dude, if Trump does Joe Rogan's podcast, that would be friggin' hysterical. I don't think Joe Rogan would ever recover, though. I think that would be the beginning of the end of him. I'm not going to cock my dang hat to the side. Now, sometimes I wear it forward, but I can't wear it forward when I do the live stream because of the angle of the camera. I tried to do that one day, and you can't see my face, even if I have the hat like way up. And I'm not going to put it on the side because I'm not going to look like a douchebag any more than I already do. Okay.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. So I got to tell you about Elkhart Indian Motorcycle. First of all, we are going to be doing the abate course. They just told me that they sold my bike for the abate course. It was so popular, it sold out. And I told you it would. I gave you fair warning. Did I or did I not, Joe? Before they even went on sale, I gave them fair warning. These sell out. Every time I do an abate course, it sells out. So for those of you who got into the class, that is awesome. Congratulations. I will see you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But they were reserving a motorcycle for me. They weren't sure that they were going to do that. Then they were, and they sold it. There's so much demand for it, so they sold it. So I'm going to use my own motorcycle when I go. We'll work out the details later, but I will still be there with everybody for the at least a portion of the couple of days. So I look forward to that. But here's the deal. I've got an Indian Scout. And I know a lot of you out there have chosen to go buy Indian Scouts as well. I was just talking with some people the other day, and they said, there is a large number of us that are trading in our other brand motorcycles to get Indians. And that is because what Indian is doing right now is remarkable. While there are complaints about other companies and the direction that they're going, everybody has praise for Indian. I was watching a very famous moto vlogger a couple of weeks ago who was trashing Indians for several weeks. Finally went to an Indian dealership. They got on a Chieftain, and they got done with the test ride, which they live blogged, by the way. And they said, I take back everything that I said about Indian motorcycles. I love this thing. I don't know if they ended up buying one or not. I'd have to go back and look at some of their new videos since then. That's how good they are. It's a great company. It's an amazing product, and India Motorcycles are the oldest American motorcycle brand in existence, period. And they are made here. So you want to go ahead and get in on this. Trust me, go to Elkhart India Motorcycles. ElkhartIndiaMotorcycle.com is the website. Take a look at their used, their pre-owned inventory. Not only Indian motorcycles, but obviously other brands for used, but then they sell Royal Enfield's brand new as well. So go to ElkhartIndiaMotorcycle.com or visit them in person in Elkhart, Indiana. Their address is at 3016 Brittany Court. Make sure you let them know that I sent you. All right, what do we have here? The Amazon rainforest. So the president of Brazil has asked the president of France to apologize for lying. The president of France and a bunch of celebrities have been posting fake photos of the Amazon rainforest fire. And Gregory Whitestone wrote a whole commentary on how these headlines, like that you'll see at CNN, Amazon rainforest burning at record rate. New York Daily News writer said the Amazon rainforest is burning. Be afraid. There's a bunch of headlines about that. And then again, you get the fake photos running around of the fire. They're not true, okay? A lot of people are basing this off of Brazil's National Institute for Space Research. Now, what you need to understand is when somebody says, historically, this is the biggest fire season that we've ever had, the National Institute for Space Research was not set up to calculate the number of fires. It was set up as an early warning system for the Brazilian government to let them know if there is going to be a high risk of fire, so that way they can act before it gets out of control. The other issue with the Brazil National Institute for Space Research is that it only has fire data going back to 2013. So if you're going to cite it and it says record data for our system, it only goes back 6 years. So that's not any serious historical significance, obviously. That's kind of like when people say, this is the hottest year on record. The record is only 30 years old. So stop. And it's not the hottest even in that category, but I digress. So anyway, so what do we have here? If you go to NASA's data, and NASA, they actually, because a lot of people are sharing the photo that NASA posted, because obviously with the ISS and everything else, NASA took a picture of the Amazon rainforest fire, okay? And people are sharing that photo. And, it looks ugly. Smoke travels, okay? You would be, 100 miles away from a wildfire where I'm from, and it would be smoke all over your town. So it's very normal for the smoke to travel. It doesn't mean that's where all of the flames are, and it's important that you understand that. So NASA they put a picture up of the Amazon rainforest fire. People are sharing it. People are freaking out about it. Nobody has been sharing, I shouldn't say nobody, most people are not sharing the caption that goes with that photo. So the caption states, as of August 16, 2019, an analysis of NASA's satellite data indicated that the total fire activity across the Amazon basin this year has been close to the average in comparison to the past 15 years. Okay, so the system that does track fires, which is NASA's system, not the Brazilian system, the system that does track fires says that there is no 84% increase in fires. It's at average rates. In fact, they mentioned that there's two areas of the Amazon which have an increased fire rates, and then there is two or three. There's two that are below average. So 2 are above average in fires this year. 2 are below average. Now, we're not peak fire season yet. That happens in September. So anyway, the overall numbers are pretty much in line with historic data that goes back to 2003, which isn't all that much, but is way more back in time than the Brazilian data, which only goes back to 2013. So anyway, let's see. Ranchers have used fire to clear the forest as much as it's much easier than felling the timber. An estimated that up to 15% of the original forest has been cleared in this manner. Now, why is this important? The fires burning now are the farmers burning their own farmland again to reset the land. They do this periodically every few years. It's not virgin rainforest that the farmers are burning, but I've seen the headlines and I've seen celebrities go out there and post this, Joe Rogan included, he's coming up in the live stream, saying that these farmers are going out there and they're burning the rainforest. They're not. They are burning their farmland and the grasslands that have already been cleared for decades for farmland. And you do this to reset the land. It's healthy for the land to do this. And that's what's burning. Now, there are fires in the Amazon rainforest right now. Those are different. Those are natural cause. It's not what we're dealing with these farmers, but people are running around and pretending that the farmers have set the virgin rainforest on fire, and they have not. And so it's important that you understand a couple of things. Celebrities and even the president of France are posting fake photos of the fires. These are fires that are not related to the current fire season at all in any way, shape, or form. So they're not real. They're not accurate. The Brazilian system is set up as an early warning system, and they will duplicate the count of fires. That is routine. They duplicate the count of fires in order to better predict where there are hot spots. And so some fires are being counted multiple times in the system. And the system's data only goes back to 2013. So anybody who is telling you that there's been an 84% increase in Amazon rainforest fires this year is not telling you the truth. Probably because they're too ignorant to understand what they're doing. But a lot of those people are very influential. They're political. They're politicians. They're celebrities, etc. And right now, the Amazon rainforest fires are at average levels. And the fires that we're talking about right now are farmers who are burning their own land again, as they periodically do every few years, not virgin rainforest. So a lot of lies have been happening as a result of the media coverage of this. And a lot of it stems from ignorance, but some of it stems from misinformation as well. Hannity's up next. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash.
I had to make sure that you guys got his intro. I had to make sure of that. Doobie doobie doo. Doobie doobie doo doo doo. What do we have here? All right, any questions, any comments before I bounce out of here? You've got just a couple of minutes to do that. Well, they always want to cause panic in the American people because that's the quickest way to move the needle. When people are afraid and people are angry, their brain turns off. They're pliable and malleable at that point. People can get them to support causes that they want. Thank you, Dale. I am the most awesomest radio host ever. I'm putting that in my contract negotiations. No NASA stories? What are you talking about, no NASA stories? I gave you a NASA story right there. And my voice is going. How weird is that? Oh, you're talking about the hacker? Yeah, I've had that. You know what? It got buried in my show prep, I think. I think it's on page 3 of my show prep. And I just keep forgetting about it. That's a hell of a story, though, right? So if you're not familiar with it, a NASA astronaut has been arrested and charged with hacking into her girlfriend's bank accounts from space. Isn't that trippy? I mean, if you've got the equipment. In other news, a coworker had their bank account compromised. They lost $900 out of their bank account, and they had almost $700 charged on their credit cards. A coworker got hacked. Sucks.
Someone got a hold of his card number.
Yeah, that's terrible, man.
$300 I did not have. I had like no money in my account. They tried to spend it, and I was like, "Hey, you tried to overcharge." I'm like,
They tried to hit you with a fee?
No, I have it, or it won't let me overcharge.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, "Hey, you realize you can't?" They went, "I haven't left my house in like 2 days."
No, I've been a victim of identity theft several times. It's not fun. I've spent most of my adult life repairing credit for problems that I didn't do, and it sucks. But it's been a while since I've been hit. Thank God, knock on wood. Yeah, he got nailed bad, so drained his bank account, dude. It's terrible. Thank you for all the props and the comments. I appreciate that. Thank you much. If you remind me, Alex, I can try and do that story at some point tomorrow.
And savings are back in business with Dell's Labor Day sale. Small businesses can save up to 40% on select.
And I'm starting to put the Discord server in a lot of blog posts too, so you should be able to join Discord from the blog more than normal. All right, you got just about 30 seconds or so. I'll give you 30 seconds to go and ask me anything. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, the wind in my hair! It's pronounced etc., not etc.
Oh, they had one of those skimmers on it. That sucks. Take care, Alex. Thanks for all the work you do, bud. Appreciate it. Especially since you don't get paid.
Say they were victims of financier and accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein stood before a judge in a Manhattan courtroom today. 14 women spoke.
All right, I'm going to bounce. Thank you, everybody. I do appreciate it. Don't forget, today is the last day to register for the Black Rifle Coffee. If you want to win the free Black Rifle Coffee, you need to register today. Go to the Black Rifle Coffee giveaway video. The link to enter the contest is in the description of the video. Check in the mail. I mean, you know, I could write you a bad check, I guess. As long as it's a small enough number, it won't be a felony, so I'll be good. All right. I'll work something out for you and Tracy, though. I've already been planning on it. Don't you worry. It's not going to be anything big, but, like, little things that I can do on my own. All right, folks. You take care. I do appreciate it. And have a safe night.